Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only podcast that records on a Monday when there's two dome shows. Because I think last year what we did is we recorded immediately after, because I think Wrestle Kingdom was on Sunday or something. We recorded immediately after. It was awful. And here we are recording the next day. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, the voice of the tasteless. Here's my little thing. And with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing on this fine Monday morn?
It was a long weekend of wrestling and waking up and being awake and doing it again.
I would argue that most weekends are long weekends of waking up, but go on.
Yeah,
King.
yeah, but like waking up at an ungodly hour or just not sleeping at all. Like, for example, I didn't fall asleep on Saturday till 9:30 a.m. Like,
oof.
That was a long one. That was a long one.
Yeah, that's a long one, boy.
But that's the beauty of the weekend. That's the beauty of the first weekend of the year. Everyone else in the world is rested from the New Year celebration.
Yep.
And so many of us wrestling fans are not. So it's a beautiful thing. Happy to be here. Happy to do this episode. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So
yeah, we have a big time episode for sure. We have lots of Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty news. Of course, two big time shows to review from two big boy companies. We're also WWE's Raw is debuting on Netflix tonight. So we'll do a quick little preview of that. I guess when most people hear it, it will already have happened probably, but that's fine. We'll do a quick little preview of that and maybe just more of a grand thoughts of, thoughts on everything that's happening for WWE Raw moving forward on Netflix and sort of expectations and see. Hopefully we'll see how they play out. We'll also review Marigold's First Dream show, and we'll get to whatever else we get to. But Scotty, I wanted to play real quickly. We had a clip that I couldn't make the edit last week's episode. Last episode on New Year's Day, you asked me for a New Year's resolution, and you said that like at the end of the episode we'll talk about what that is. And we did talk about it, but the problem is that like I accidentally clipped it out of the audio and the video somehow. So I'm just gonna real quickly, if you don't mind, Scotty, I'm just gonna real quickly play the clip. And then we can hear what the New Year's resolution was, conversation that you and I had last Wednesday. Does that sound? I think that's going to be fair for everybody because I don't want people to miss out on great audio that we have. Right? You know what I'm saying, Scotty?
Yeah, of course. We're so not live, so this makes all the sense in the world. This should go well. We totally didn't forget. We'd never forget something like that.
Yeah,
on a podcast.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot to talk about. I have notes. I have paper. I have pens. I'm writing stuff down constantly. I have a computer that I can also take notes at. And it's not like something we would forget. I did forget to not cut out the audio of this bit, but I think it's important that we leave it in here and talk about it. And so I want to play it for everybody. We have prepped us. Let's just go to commercial first, and then we'll come back and we'll have that audio ready. Here we go. Go to commercial.
Why take less when you can get a beefy 5-layer burrito?
So, Scotty, earlier you asked about New Year's resolutions. It's New Year's Day, of course, January 1st, New Year's
for
Day.
For wrestling, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, this is our New Year's wrestling resolution. And you asked me, and I asked you, and I threw it back at you, sonny boy. So I'm going to ask you, since I've already prepped this bit, I'm asking you, what was your New Year's wrestling resolution? Resolution? Is that something? Is that anything?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because had I been able to say it last week, I feel like I'd be having a pretty good weekend. Yeah, I already ruined your bit. You're welcome. But my resolution, you're welcome. My resolution was that Japan as a whole ups their game in terms of the product, the directions, and I'm not asking for like say New Japan to get back to its peak years or anything like that. I'm not asking for
I think it's going to take a bit.
Right. I'm not even asking for All Japan to just go back 2 years where they were. I'm not asking for Stardom to go back to 2021, but I'm just asking as a whole. All these, many of these promotions can just run and be exciting from beginning of the year to end of the year. And a big reason of that is because that's where my fandom thrives the most. And spoiler alert, after this past week or so, I'm feeling great. It's reminding me of what can happen when wrestling in Japan is so good. And that's that was my resolution at the time, was resolution to see Japan be great. A personal wrestling resolution is to never watch any promotions I have no interest in this year. That is my personal resolution. I'm not going to waste my time on things that I have no interest in. Easier said than done when you record a podcast.
Yeah, and you have a co-host that will constantly hammer home like, Scotty, we gotta watch MLW this week. What are we doing?
Right.
Big time show.
Exactly. So like that's my personal wrestling resolution, is like just not waste my time. Like if I'm gonna watch wrestling, watch it because I actually have a interest in it. Which I've been getting better at. Last year I got pretty good at it, but I'll redo it this year because let me tell you, some places have some short leashes. Okay. One of them being a certain TNA organization, and another being, well, MLW doesn't even have a leash.
I burned that leash, I think, firmly. I burned that leash.
Yeah, you did. But yeah, that's just kind of like the mindset moving forward. So I think it's an exciting year of hopefulness right now. So I'm really looking forward to what it is. But what's your New Year's resolution for wrestling?
I thought of two things that I definitely talked about before that I want to work on watch more in the new year. I'm not going to give myself a massive list. I have like a thing where I go through like every week or so I watch something off this list where it's, what am I at? Like a wrestling viewing list where it has here's the thing. You see like it says like NXT, TNA, but these are like old. This is like NXT takeovers, TNA, World Class Championship Wrestling, super old stuff that I'm just like viewing week by week because I want to catch up and watch all these things. But a thing that I want to watch from like 2025 wrestling that I definitely feel like I got lazy and took a big back seat in 2024 was indie wrestling. I know that indie wrestling is in a rough spot right now, to put it lightly. But we talked about it like in our year in review shows. Like that's something that I want to like try to do better on, especially like the places that are getting a little bit of buzz, like a DPW, like a Deadlock Pro. That's a place that's certainly getting a little bit of buzz. I would like to have more interest in covering and watching those sort of things. Because I think from watching it from all levels, watching from the top tier WWE, AEW, and watching all the way to the bottom of the indies, you get that big wide scope of professional wrestling, what it looks like. I'll get like a good clear idea of what wrestling, how wrestling is doing, I guess, in 2025. To that extent, I'm going to apply a little bit of the same thing, not entirely, but a little bit of the same thing that you wanted me to do really in 2025 in terms of Japanese, I'll say indie at this level, and watch and see if I can try to watch and get into more Dragon Gate, a company that I've told countless times over and over again. I got to watch more Dragon Gate. And every time I go watch it, I enjoy it, and then I not stop enjoying it. And not saying that's bad, but just sort of like a thing of, whatever. I'll just forget about watching Dragon Gate, and I'll completely miss it. And it feels like, based on what you talked about in a year-end review, that Dragon Gate had a fairly good 2024. And not saying that will move on and move forward into 2025, but I definitely want to try to, watch more of that. So basically, watch more indies from a Japanese and American level, and Mexico. Well, I think I'm fine with Mexico. I think I'm fine with CMLL by itself.
Yeah, I didn't think you're gonna add much there.
No.
I don't blame you.
But yeah, it's more of like I want to like leave myself open and try to strive to watch more indie stuff to get a better idea. Continue with that wrestling thread week by week, like try to like watch old stuff thing. because I also want to like leave room to work on like other projects and like focusing on all this. I don't know. I have like so much stuff that I want to watch right now that it's really hard for me to focus it.
Mhm.
If you know what I'm saying. So I need to find like ways to help focus that, and making projects, having the ballot, which comes out on Wednesday, having Hustle Loyalty retrospective comes out this month. There's like a whole other project that I want to work on, but like the more I think about it, the more like I might have to push it back, and like the longer it gets, because the more like I want to do with it. So there's like more
Yeah.
research and stuff I got to do with it. So it's just like this thing that's like there's so much I want to do, but like I have to figure out how to prepare it, how to put it out, and how to make good stuff from it. So I guess what we're saying is that in terms of our New Year's resolution, I want to do like a shit ton more wrestling watching, and you want to do less wrestling watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I could do more.
You
I don't.
watch a lot. You watch a lot more than me, and I watch a lot.
My match guide got to
Yeah, what is your match guide at currently in
from last year.
2025?
Oh, in
Tw-
2025.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see if you already
I,
have
I haven't
more.
I haven't watched all of these yet, but it's 84 listed.
How many watched?
No idea. That's a good question. I don't know how to see that. Hold on.
I know how to see it on your thing. You just like basically like highlight the
60.
Yeah, you're already beating me. It's the new year and you're already beating me by 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched
Last
60
year, do I still have access to your 2024 one? I don't know. I can look that up. But last year I watched 1,839 matches, which is a lot.
1,000. That is a lot. Hold on. I'll get it.
I have the
1 second.
time too. The time for matches last year: 17 days, 10 hours, 52 minutes, and 31 seconds of wrestling watching.
I couldn't do the time. I'd be very upset about myself.
How much is
I watched 2,801.
2,801? You watch 2,801?
Yeah.
You watched 1,000 more wrestling matches than me last year?
Well, that's just current day, to be fair. That's not just like archives and stuff.
No. That's fair, because I did watch a lot of like old wrestling as well last year. But you watched 1,000 more 2024 matches than me? I thought I watched a lot. Jesus Christ, got it. Yeah, watch less. Watch less.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
How do you have time to watch all this stuff?
I don't. It's a trick.
I spent 5% of my year watching wrestling, which doesn't sound like a lot, but most people don't spend 5% of the year doing that. You spent like maybe, I don't know, 10% potentially.
Nah, it's fine. Nah.
Jesus Christ, that is a lot. Holy crap! Yeah, watch less.
That's what I'm saying. Less bad stuff. So like, which is a lot of stuff, to be fair. There's a lot of bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see, and this is why every time you bring up like watching bad stuff, I'm always like, no, I'm good.
That's fair. I get you. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about some good stuff that happened already this year. Get to the meat of this podcast. Let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, 2 shows happening over the weekend in the Tokyo Dome, both nights. Wrestle Kingdom, of course, the New Japan show. Wrestle Dynasty, the New Japan AEW, CMLL, Ring of Honor, Stardom, and I guess technically Rev Pro joint production over in the Tokyo Dome. Excuse me. I thought 2 solid shows, one 100% better than the other, but I think both were one was solid, one was great. Very good shows. Scotty, what were your overall thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty, the weekend that was January 4th and January 5th?
It was a great weekend of wrestling. That's what it's supposed to be. That's kind of how you're supposed to leave a Wrestle Kingdom weekend, I think. And I think that's exactly what I had done. Wrestle Kingdom, I was more excited about going into because of it being Wrestle Kingdom. And I think in a way, the way Wrestle Kingdom ended actually helped Wrestle Dynasty, and then Wrestle Dynasty just being a really, really good show helped a lot as well. I don't know. I find it fascinating when we go through these weekends, and it's a lot of wrestling consumption, like overly done. My night on Friday, for example, started with TJPW at like 10 p.m. and pretty much rolled into Wrestle Kingdom. And then you do Wrestle Dynasty the next night, and so on and so forth. And it's just like it's a lot of wrestling, but I think it gives you a great appreciation for all kinds of wrestling, especially with the Wrestle Dynasty show, because you have a little bit of everything going on with it. So yeah, I left this weekend pretty happy with wrestling overall, which is all I can ask for. We talk about all the matches I watch, and it's funny. I know a lot more people that watch way more than me, which is terrifying. But yeah, I just think if you are a fan of wrestling, you had a great weekend, and that's really all you can ask for when it comes to Wrestle Kingdom weekend.
Yeah, I largely agree. I think it was a really great weekend of wrestling. It was really a lot of fun, cool matches. There's definitely, I think, a match of the year contender already formed from this weekend, which is great. That's what you want. Granted, in years past, maybe you would get multiple match of the year contenders, but I'm not going to be, I talked about this a lot last year, where it's like, I'm not going to be the guy that's like, and you already mentioned earlier this episode, where it's like, we have to move past like the expectations of that. This is going to be, we're going to go back to where we were in Japan in like 2018, 2017, right? We're coming up on a decade ago of peak New Japan, right? And I think one of the trappings of 2024, Scotty, was trying to expect the peak greatness of things, knowing that time moves on and it's hard to go back to those peak things, because a lot of ways those peak things came about because of like perfect situations, both in AEW, New Japan, all these different companies. Perfect sort of situations, putting it all together. Having the expectations to get back to that is maybe a little bit too lofty, but I think we came about, still had some really good wrestling. I think for the most part, Wrestle Kingdom was a really solid show. Like I said, Wrestle Dynasty, even better. Attendance wise, 24,000 in Wrestle Kingdom and 16,000 in Wrestle Dynasty. Not great numbers. The Wrestle Kingdom number was similar to, I want to say it was Wrestle Kingdom 9, 10. So this is like Tanahashi era, Nakamura era, not Okada yet. But the context of that is that was sort of a period where New Japan was coming out of a dark age, right? Led by Tanahashi. And this is a period that people were seeing as a down period. This is sort of a new, I don't think anyone's necessarily calling this a dark era, but this is a sort of new down period for New Japan. But, context wise, this is a down period for New Japan that was a upswing for New Japan even 10 years ago. So good, I guess, in that context. But for where we're at, a disappointing number. So disappointing, in fact, the New Japan owner, Takaki Kadani, CEO of Bushiroad, of course, expressed disappointment in those attendance numbers and has set the new goal that he hopes to get next year at the Tokyo Dome, which is 40,000 in attendance. So he's basically saying, I want to try to double that. Maybe not double, but increase the...
Double it in one night. You want to combine it into one night.
Basically.
Combine it into one 40,000 over 2 nights.
He goes on to say that he aims to feature several special matches on that date in addition to Tanahashi's retirement match. By the way, I imagine Tanahashi's retirement match will increase the numbers significantly. He believes that this year's attendance challenges are a result of growing pains as New Japan Pro Wrestling transitions to a new generation. I agree. However, he noted that they are losing fans to traditional sports. A significant part of the challenge is attracting international interest in their events, which I would say was not really part of the challenge, because that is probably the thing that helped this year's attendance a little bit, is attracting international interest. He does go on to say that, it would be more beneficial to hold another joint AEW show in Japan, but farther removed from January 4th. And I also have to imagine farther removed from Forbidden Door as well. So he wants to continue doing Wrestle Dynasty just not on the same weekend as Wrestle Kingdom. So that is, the CEO after this weekend of attendance wise, disappointed and saying, we want to do better. We're striving to do better, but we understand we have a lot of challenges and we want more international interest. But I don't know how much, Scotty, I don't know how much more international interest you're going to have than, a joint wrestling show with AEW, of another big time company, bringing in a lot of outside talent. So much so that even Zack Sabre Jr. promo was like, "Oh, we got some English speakers. Let me just start speaking in English." So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Sort of these comments and thoughts on the attendance here.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Kadani. This is pretty well known, but it's a good thing to have goals and aspirations and all that. It's a very good thing. I don't know if I'd say like the 40,000 publicly, because now it's going to be like stared at next year. Like,
Yeah,
did
that's
you
true.
get it? They haven't had 40,000 since 2020.
2020, yeah, and that's the Liger
2020.
retirement show.
The Liger retirement show, the double gold dash thing that they did or whatever.
Is 40,000 a joint number or one show?
That was just the first day. The second day was 30. So they haven't done that since then. A Tokyo Dome show hasn't done that since then. Keiji Muto's show is the biggest since then in the Tokyo Dome. At 30,000. So I don't think 40 is an egregious thing to think when it comes to Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement. But it's a matter of how far they go with it, and it's a matter of what they do in the next year to get there. He's ultimately asking for a 16,000 person increase. In a year. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's is
potentially doable, but it's like the cusp of doable.
And you have to remember, 2020, obviously when people think of 2020, they think of the COVID stuff, but this was before that. This was the this was the end of that peak that New Japan had in the 2010s. So getting to that number is tough. The Tanahashi retirement will help it. But I understand where he's coming from. It is a disappointment. I know a lot of people thought Wrestle Dynasty was going to do well. I think based on the card, and you look at how many people, I think 16,000 people bought those tickets for one match, and everyone else just happened to be there for the rest of the show. That's really what it felt like if you watched Wrestle Dynasty. While I thought it was a very good show, the crowd was engaged to the limit for one match, right? So I think it's fascinating just to think about. But, we'll see. We'll see. Aim high. I think you gotta be over. I think you gotta at least hit 30 for Tanahashi's retirement, or it's an absolute fail. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, it's fascinating to hear. It is fascinating always to hear openness from someone that leads like that. As you said yesterday, you kind of wish a certain somebody else was that open.
Yeah. It is I really respect Kadani for having that sort of comment, because that's not something that you get a lot from CEOs, especially in America. CEOs just saying like, yeah, that was a disappointment. We recognize the challenges and we want to strive to do better, and we have a new goal. And, accepting the loss, accepting the fact that like, yeah, we didn't do too well. That's something that's very lacking. I would wish that like people in America, like maybe Tony Khan, would say stuff like that as well. I think now would make sense, but
honesty would be nice once in a while. Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of a disappointment for sure. I mean, even if you want to look at it in this way, I mean, it was 24,000 last year, and the 24,000 this year. Last year was 27,000, so decreased by 3K in attendance as well. So not great, just sort of a year-to-year basis either. And to be fair, Zack Sabre Jr. is not. They don't have. That's the big issue, right? They don't have any of these big time draws yet. They're trying to create these big time draws. Will it happen? Who the heck knows? I don't know, but I guess we'll certainly find out eventually. The last time, sort of pre-COVID, they had a 20,000 roughly number attendance. 26,000 in 2017. This was Wrestle Kingdom 11. Obviously, we all know what Wrestle Kingdom 11 was: Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada #1. So they are. I think it's plausible. That's 26,000. I think it's plausible they can get to 40. I mean, look at the things that they had at 40. The next year, Wrestle Kingdom 12. This was the year of Okada versus Omega. So massive international interest and boom in the company. 43,000 total, 34,000 paid. So even then, not even getting 40,000 paid. But what do they have to do? What do they have to do to get to that number? You had Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. You had Okada versus Naito. This is Tanahashi versus Jay White. This is a big time show, right?
Yeah.
Naito versus Okada, a massive, massive rivalry, a massive, massive program. A lot of people thinking Naito would win that one. The next year, you have 38,000 paid again. What's the main event of that? Tanahashi, Omega. Semi-main event, Jericho, Naito. Third from the top, Okada, Jay White. The same 6 guys mixed up into a different order. And you basically get the same exact number. You said the next one is night 1, 40,000. We don't know if that's a paid number or not. Night 1, 40,000. What does that show look like? Night 1, Ibushi versus Okada. He's new here. Jay White versus Naito. Ospreay versus Hiromu from the third from the top. And this is 2019, coming off the backs of 2019, where Ospreay had, a Wrestler of the Year candidacy there in 2019. So they don't have, I don't think, as big of stars. Even in here, the new people here are Hiromu, Ospreay, and Ibushi. You lost Okada. Naito is very much a shell from former self. You lost Jay White. You lost Kota Ibushi. You lost Will Ospreay. Hiromu is the only one that's still here, and I think Hiromu is also a shell of a former self a little bit. So you lost a lot of big hitters. The ability to get to 40,000 when you last time you got 40,000 was when you lost when you have a completely different group of guys. It's gonna be maybe doable. Tanahashi will probably really lead that pack, but I am really dubious that we'll get to the number. But based off this weekend, maybe it's plausible. Let's talk about the show itself. Let's do one last thing.
The Tanahashi match would have to be massive.
And what could that massiveness even be, right?
Nakamura?
Maybe?
Return to New Japan?
Nakamura, maybe. He helps boost the Noah, the Muto stuff.
Right, he's boosted Noah twice, and Nakamura versus Tanahashi one final time in a ring. I mean, that's kind of a big deal for New Japan. That's the only thing. Because Tanahashi returning to New Japan for the first time in a decade, and being for that would be the only thing because I don't think listen, Tanahashi and Okada's happened 75 times over the past couple of years. That's not going to move it as much.
It'll definitely move it, but I don't think
it'll move it. It'll move it for sure. It's just I'm trying to get to that 40, and you have to do something massive. That would be massive. Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Omega will.
No, Omega wouldn't. No,
Shibata will never happen.
no, and they already got a taste of it, so I don't think it's going to move tickets like that. So it would probably just be Nakamura. Truthfully,
that's probably accurate.
And I don't know what Nakamura's deal is, but if he were to run out at the end of this year and make that happen, you never know. But we'll see. Hopefully for them, they can get close. If they can get around 35, it's a good day.
That's a great point. For that match to even happen, basically what has to happen is Nakamura has to no longer work in WWE.
Correct.
Because the relationship will never happen. I don't think it will ever happen. If it does happen, that's a massive shift in the dynamic of the wrestling year of 2025.
And I know there was some odd rumors at the end of last year about Nakamura, so maybe his contract will be up sooner than later. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, it would almost be shocking for him not to do it. At least a match with Tanahashi. Maybe not that show, but if we want to go big, it would be that one.
Didn't say that. Let's talk about the show itself. Let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom. We'll start from the top here. New Japan Rambo. Nice little match here as we start off the classic. So part of the build, obviously we didn't talk about this in the preview because we didn't know at the time, But this New Japan Rambo, not part of the KOPW title, sort of, becoming the KOPW champion of 2025. Want to know why, Scotty? It's because that title no longer exists. A nice special treat for all of those, too many title complainers in the wrestling world. Nice little treat that we got. The KOPW title no longer exists. It is now defunct. And this New Japan Rambo was not for that. Instead, it was for a shot, number one contendership for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We know who won. It was Hiroki Goto, who won this Rambo. We already know when that match is going to happen. So, Scotty, thoughts on this Rambo if you have any quick thoughts?
The right person won. And we'll go further with Hiroki Goto after this. I think there is at least always a serious consideration when it comes to Goto to maybe get fans into it because he's still beloved. But yeah, it's fine. It's a Rambo. Like I don't have much to say ever about a Rambo.
Yeah, the more interesting.
I'll say this: I liked it better than the main event.
Oh, well, that's a very interesting aspect for them for the Rambo.
It was a lot shorter. That helps.
Is it? I don't want to say a lot shorter. 34 minutes versus 43. Oh, yeah, that's a lot shorter. Than 9 minutes. Yeah, Hiroki Goto winning. What does that do? I believe we already know that the match is going to be at New Beginning in Osaka. I believe that was set today at New Year's Dash. Let me double check. And it's not a cage match, so I don't know. But I believe that match has been set. I just don't know exactly when because I didn't watch New Year's Dash this morning yet. But Hiroki Goto, I think it's very interesting. I think it's a I don't know. I would consider putting a title on Hiroki Goto. Is it too soon for Zack Sabre Jr. to put a title on somebody else? Are we going to do a year-long reign of Zack Sabre Jr.? I don't think we should. I think there's a couple other people that would be more interesting. Should it be on Hiroki Goto? I don't know. Maybe people got really invested in Japan to watch the dad run of Hiroki Goto. And a lot of international interest came from the dad run of Hiroki Goto. There's interest there. I would consider putting the belt on Goto. But I guess we'll talk about that more whenever that match does happen and for that preview. And we'll see also if the Magic can come back. Next match, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Ladder Match. Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles get the big-time win here. Fujita becoming the youngest champion in New Japan history by defeating the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Catch 22, and the Bullet Club War Dogs. Also in this preview, we didn't know this was going to be a ladder match. Do you think the ladder match assisted this match, or do you think it was a detriment to the match here?
I thought it was a detriment. I'm so done with ladder matches. I'm so done with them. There's a lot of things off. A lot of no. I did not.
No, I agree.
Didn't love it. There's still, I thought Kevin Knight and Kosei Fujita were the stars of the match, and I walked away saying, boy, they should have just had a regular match because I bet they could have still been the stars of the match in a normal match.
Yeah.
Wasn't all that great. I think
Kevin Knight,
the
Kevin Knight, what was their move called? The Kevin Knight Perfect Time or whatever it's called.
Yeah, more like not so perfect.
Yeah, a move that looks great on paper, and then an execution did not work out whatsoever. Same thing with the Drillakilla to the outside, the running.
That was terrible. Yeah,
that was terrible as well. It's like, again, a move that looks great on paper, but in practice did not work at all. It didn't make any sense.
That didn't. But so when I watched that, I was like, "There was no way that was ever going to work." Have you seen these Japanese tables? Like that was never going to work unless you jumped off the apron through it. Like
but also like the running angle of it is like, and then I
have
to
it wasn't
fall.
Happening, dude.
I have to fall more than halfway.
You're essentially
back.
going to have to kill someone to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, no, I did not. This was I think a letdown compared to what they usually open with when they do the junior tags. Had they just done a 4-way, couple minute sprint would have been better. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think both of us are sick. I don't know if you can tell by my voice. I've hit the stage of sickness, Scotty. Literally, we recorded last week, and I was like, my throat hurts. I got through an entire cold. I'm now at the point of the cold where it's like you have that phlegmy congestion in your mouth. So it's like very difficult to talk right now. So I'm doing the best I can. I agree. I think, the typical fast-paced action of the junior opening for Wrestle Kingdom is always exciting and chaotic. And I think adding the ladder match again on paper is a very chaotic addition that can help make the match go over the top. The problem is the chaos actually was a detriment. It hurt the match. It was too over the top, a little shark, jumped the shark a little bit there on the chaos.
Yep.
And it actually, I agree, made the match worse overall. Still a fairly good match. I don't think it was awful. I think there was worse stuff on this show. But at the end of the day, what it was used to was a clear elevation of Kosei Fujita. So much so that it was him getting both title belts off the top as Akira just kind of lays there. So is it clear they're pushing Fujita up the ladder in the junior division here. And to that extent, they did a good job there in terms of elevating Fujita. But like we said, the match sort of fell apart as it went about.
Yeah, it was my second lowest rated match of the main card. So,
oof. Moving on, IWGP Women's Title match. Mayu Iwatani defeats Azumi 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I thought this match was exactly what I sort of expected it to be. You know, you were never expecting a long match here, but these were the perfect people to have a sub 10-minute match. Azumi, of course, an all-time high-speed-esque wrestler. Mayu Iwatani, an all-time wrestler. So the perfect cocktail to have a great match here. Yeah. I think they definitely succeeded. Of course, shock among shocks for me, Scotty. Mayu Iwatani retains the title. Definitely did not expect that. Fully expected Azumi to get the win here. What are your thoughts on the match itself? And more importantly, what are your thoughts on Mayu Iwatani retaining?
I thought the match was great. Thought they did such a awesome job with the time they had, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I think they opened a lot of eyes to, you know, if you're good enough, you don't need a lot of time, you know, and they were like you said, perfect two to do this match and to do it well. I thought, you know, any other time, I don't know if you could have better ingredients. Like maybe only other ingredient would be like Azumi and Kid to make that work.
Sure.
But Mayu has the high speed pass and she can work with anyone's style. Azumi, just again is a shining star that continues to really showcase, I think, why if you're Stardom, you should really start getting behind her. But yeah, I mean, I thought Azumi should win, no matter what Mayu's future was, because I thought it was an opportunity to crown a new young star and one that a lot of people like internationally. It's not just in Japan, but internationally, a lot of people like Azumi. And all I saw
in a big time venue too.
Right. And when the show was over, I saw still a lot of praise for Azumi in her performance here. I do think that they missed on not doing so, because ultimately that means Tam Nakano's getting the belt. Like that was that's been my whole thing this whole time. But I was like, you know what? They're doing this Wrestle Kingdom match. They should just change it. And they didn't. So I was like, okay, then they're just gonna accomplish nothing instead by just giving Tam another belt. That's fine. I mean, again, popularity and all that, I get it. I've been through this. We talked about last, with the Queendom show, like Tam keeping the world title would have made sense because of popularity and everything, but
they found a way to take the title off of Tam, but still have her hold a title, and that is probably by eventually beating Mayu.
And don't get me wrong, I think Mayu and Tam need to finish their story once and for all. Like, Tam has never beat Mayu. That is the story. But it didn't need the title to do that. That's the whole thing. Like, it did not need the IWGP Women's title to do that. I think Azumi winning it would have been great. I also think Azumi winning it would have created a different story for Stardom, with Suzuki then having been the only person without gold. It would have been a great story for kind of them to tell there. But no, they didn't do it. Mayu retains. Obviously, I had no problem seeing that. It was great to see Mayu get the big win on the big show, get to see them have that moment. So no complaints outside of they got cold feet, it feels like, and they should have just went with it.
But it's one of those things where it's like, it's cold feet. Instead of like jumping the gun and trying to do, I wouldn't say cold feet. I would rather say they played it safe. Because the safe option is to have Mayu retain and then put the title over on Tam. because
Yeah.
Tam was a draw for them last year. It makes sense. I understand where they're coming from. I agree with you. Make a new star while you have it, while you can. The Tam thing, I completely agree with you. That that can main event a
Tam's
big
not
time show.
gaining anything from the big win after the 9 defense title reign that Mayu's had, right?
Correct.
Azumi would gain the world.
Exactly. And I agree that you can make a brand new star and then you also have a big time star in Tam Nakano, who can then beat Mayu on her way out the door. And then she can, and then you maybe vault that into maybe Tam versus Azumi for the IWGP World.
Sure.
That would be an interesting. That's 3 matches right there.
Yep. If anything, creates a little doubt regarding what Azumi's up to in the next few months, but that's the fun of every booking decision over the next couple months. It's like, oh, interesting. But yeah, it's going to Tam. Like some people were like, oh, maybe no, it's going to Tam. It's not even if it wasn't going to Azumi here, it was going to Tam. So good match though. They did a great job. And can't ask for much more considering the situation they were in. And you knew going in they weren't getting 10 to 15. So yeah, no complaints here. This match started a really good trend over the middle of this card.
New Japan World TV title match. El Phantasmo picks up the win, defeating Ren Narita, Jeff Cobb, and Rohei Oiwa. Obviously, El Phantasmo recovered completely, came back from cancer. As soon as he gets added to that match, Scotty, it became so obvious who was winning this. We obviously would like to have Oiwa hold a belt, but it makes so much more sense for El Phantasmo to be able to come back cancer-free and win the New Japan World TV title. What do you think about the match?
Sometimes it's best just to do the easiest thing. This was one of those times. Anyone else winning this match would have felt wrong. I think it's a great moment for Phantasmo, considering there was a good chance at one point he wasn't even going to be on this show. And now he gets his championship win. So good for him. I have no problems with the match itself. I have no problems with the winner. I think, honestly, I think it went as good as everything could. Truthfully, for a 4-way match that's racing against the clock. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb, pop of the night here, pop of the match, I should say, breaking that board over his knee, Ren Narita's push-up board over his knee. Big pop of the match. I completely agree. A match that is 10 minutes, meant to be in and out, basically. I think the action was nonstop. I think the action was good. And like you said, it makes all the sense in the world for El Phantasmo to get the win here. Where does he go from here? I don't know. I think he has a lot of potential challengers. Obviously, singles matches with all these guys. And I think I would have a decently lengthy reign from El Phantasmo. I think he could definitely hold it well into the G1. Would be my prediction. I don't see any reason why to take the belt off of him anytime soon. So good pick, good win for El Phantasmo, and we'll see what happens with everybody else moving down the line. Lumberjack match next. Hiroshi Tanahashi is able to defeat Evil 15 minutes and 7 seconds. Of course, this match was a Lumberjack match. The House of Torture boys against the Huntai boys on the outside. I thought it was a very nice match. I thought it was very, very peak House of Torture match, in my opinion, of crowd super behind Tanahashi, crowd super against Evil. Very close to that. Didn't quite get there. One of those rare matches where I could have liked a little bit more time to develop that, story of the match a little bit longer. Maybe an extra 5 minutes or so, just to get more depth out of that. But ultimately, that's fine. Tanahashi can't really go. So it's fine that we only got to the 15. If we got to the 20, I think we could have got more depth and more heat and all these sort of things. But ultimately, Tanahashi prevails, defeats Evil, and a classic babyface underdog that has a massive crowd connection, defeating House of Torture and Evil. So I think it ultimately worked. I think it was good. And it, like we said, the typical good House of Torture match that gets put out by Evil.
Yeah, I thought it was a real success. I liked everything about it. The energy behind it was great. Evil's entrance was incredible. I was like, this guy is the biggest deal of all time. I don't know. He just felt huge, and seeing him lose in the end obviously is always a good spot for a match like this, and it was very well done. I thought
Mhm.
like I had no complaints, I had no qualms about it. I just think um when you look at the match going in, this was pretty much best case scenario,
Yeah.
and they absolutely crushed it. So, between that and then Shibata coming out and them having the face to face, that was a really cool moment. Um,
Agreed.
Pretty much everything from the entrances to the Shibata stuff was just like that's what Wrestle Kingdom is about. You know, I that's kind of how I felt, and people hate Evil, but he does his job really well.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's matches like this that showcase, like, yeah, there is you have to get through the muck of the evil. You have to put the act over to get to
Yeah,
this kind of moment.
yeah, and it'll be fascinating to see him do it again on Saturday with the Battle in the Valley show in a very different way.
Hmm.
So, um, I don't know. He clearly has fun with it. I think that's like something that's very apparent in matches like these. Like hitting everything is evil and then just losing was like a great moment. Like
Yeah.
I was like that was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and Tanahashi, bless him, he does everything he can. He willed himself to the best possible performance on this show. Um, so he has a year left. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
I hope he just wakes up one day on a big show, one of the big shows of one of the big matches he has, and like, oh my god, my knees feel great today. Here we go.
Well,
You
look,
know,
Tanahashi's never tired, so that's something we don't have to worry about. He's always
that's
hurt.
true.
He's always hurt,
He's
but he's
always
never
hurt,
tired.
never tired. God
Yeah.
bless.
Next up, the AW International title and never openweight title match. Dual titles up for grabs here. Konosuke Takeshita gets the win, defeating Shingo Takagi in 12 minutes and 42 seconds. A barn burner of a match for sure. I thought the beginning was a little slow, but ultimately the finishing stretch was great. So I really enjoyed this match. I had similar thoughts about Sari and Utami Hayashishita, which we'll get to eventually on this program. But I really did enjoy it. Takeshita gets the win, not only the win, but apparently a 1-year contract as well. So we'll be seeing Takeshita a lot more in New Japan and AEW and DDT. I don't know how this guy's going to be able to fit all over the globe and work out with all these different promoters, but we'll see, I guess. But at the very least, Takeshita picks up the win, defeating Shingo Takagi. Scotty, thoughts on the match?
Takeshita's born to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He just happens to be in AEW because they pay well, but he's born to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I watch this guy make his entrances both nights. I'm like, this guy like feels like the biggest star on the show.
The aura
You're right.
alone.
Right, like he just has it,
Mhm.
and I thought him and Shingo hit a real home run here. I wish that they got more time, obviously, but where the placement on the show was, they weren't going to get too much more.
Yeah.
But they had the slugfest you want the never open weight to have, which is kind of why I think Takeshi's in his wheelhouse with this title. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for what is to come with him being part of New Japan in a official manner now, besides just the matches here and there. Obviously, the title helps, but a 1-year deal is exciting. It feels like a fascinating situation for him this year.
Yeah.
There's no reason to think he can't be the wrestler of the year this year either, just based
I
on
fully
the start of
agree.
his year,
Fully agree. I was going to explain that more in the Ishii match for the Wrestle Dynasty, but
Right.
I think he is totally set up to be a Wrestle of the Year contender this year. Fully.
It just
Like he had that in AEW. Like he had like arguably a Wrestle of the Year in AEW contender.
yeah, he did amazing last year.
And an argument to Wrestle of the Year overall, but I like in terms of all those different things in terms of work rate, but like I think he has strong potential to be a Wrestle of the Year contender this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he can maximize the dates with New Japan. I'm hoping it's not just I don't know once every 2 months. I'm hoping it's like legitimate, like I'm here for a couple shows. Each tour they do, right? Like when we get to the New Beginning tours, he has to have a defense there. When we get to the what's after that, New Japan Cup, he should be in that. Like
Yep.
there's things like this, he should be part of these because I don't think he is utilized in AEW to the level that he can't be there for those things.
Mhm.
You know, um, I think this is where the partnership should really be under a microscope. Do you allow Takeshita to kind of do what he wants because it's very apparent this is what he wants? Or is it just, oh, do this one match and we'll see you at Dominion? Like, I don't, that's the last thing I want, you know?
Yeah. I think Dominion would be obviously too far away. I think it's fair to say that he'll probably work the US shows. I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
I need more than that.
I think, in a post-match presser, we'll talk about it in a moment, with the Young Bucks talking about their IWGP Tag Team Champion win. They talked about how in the post-match presser that they would like to wrestle in Osaka. They heavily teased their next match being in Osaka, which is New Beginning show. I would imagine then that there's a chance that if the Young Bucks are there, I think there's a chance that Takeshita is also there. Just put them on the same flight.
Did anyone in AEW like to work in AEW?
I
Or
don't.
they just
Apparently not. Apparently not. That's fine, I guess. But I think if we're working on that assumption that if the Young Bucks are going to potentially be in Osaka, I think it's fair to think that Takeshita will also be in Osaka and have a never title defense there against somebody.
He should 1000% be in the New Japan Cup.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking about that. I agree that he should be in the New Japan Cup.
He can lose early.
Yes, no, but he could lose it early and then go back to AEW or something. But I also thought, should he be in the G1 again?
Yes.
Should he do? Could he? The answer to all of these, by the way, is yes from us. From the logistics for AEW, do you want to lose him for both the Cup tour and the G1 tour?
They won't care about him by the G1.
That might be fair.
He won't have that international title anymore. So, like,
I don't know. They'll keep if you keep him on him, then just you get to see more AEW.
It feels like Fletcher's getting it. Like, that's kind of where I'm going right now. Like, I feel like Fletcher's coming around to it soon.
So how is Fletcher going to take it off of his stablemate? We're gonna do another.
Takeshita finally goes babyface, like he should have been like a while ago. After that G1, remember? Like we were like, feels miscast at this stage, and it's worked out. But like, as people said after his 2 matches this weekend, why is this guy doing like limb targeting and stuff in his matches? Like, why is he just not being awesome, right? In his title matches, because that's what he is. He's awesome. Just have the all-out fight that he does. He's so good at it. He's so good at the never style. That's literally his style. Just a little like more athletic. And this was a good start to his weekend. We'll talk about the Ishii match, obviously. But a great weekend for Konosuke Takeshita.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. Not much to say here because this match ended in disappointment. Doki gets injured 5 minutes, 23 seconds into this. He does a move on the top rope to the outside. Doki bomb to the outside, lands awkwardly, I believe hurts his wrist or arm or some capacity.
I think he dislocated like something in his arm. It was nasty.
But unable to end it. The referee immediately stopped it, basically. And El Desperado is your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, but sadly, Doki out for the count. And Scotty, the irony of this story of their relationship continues. The story of their relationship continues. Doki comes into this company because he is the injury replacement for El Desperado many moons ago. Doki becomes champion in a lot of ways because Desperado is injured. Well, Despy gets injured, vacates the title, and Doki becomes champion, right? And here we are again. The title switch happens again through injury. The relationship between these two is an injured one, and it continues again somehow, some way. The gods won't let that injury storyline fail. The storyline continues here with Despy getting the win via Doki's injury, 5 minutes, 23 seconds.
It was heartbreaking because Doki just did so much to not only have himself a great reign, but I think establish himself as like one of the top guys. And this was going to be his big moment, right? Yeah, he was probably going to lose, but it didn't matter because it was just his big moment. And they were going for it. Like I keep going back to that. Like if you watch the first 5 minutes of this match, they were going for it.
It was
they were
setting itself up to be a great match. Show stealer for sure.
Like Desperado pretty much destroyed himself before this with the like tope that he did where he
Yeah.
just like, ricocheted his legs. He ricocheted his legs off the railing like Eddie Kingston did against Gabe Kidd that, obviously left Eddie Kingston out of action as long as he's been.
Mhm.
And I remember everyone freak out, and then like Desperado just gets up and like starts running it off. I was like, that definitely didn't feel good. And then when when Doki did the Doki bomb, I was like, oh my God, like Desperado's neck just like smashed the railing. So I watched that on the replay. Little did I know over here, if you watch the replay, Doki's arm essentially like snaps a little bit. And I was like, that's terrible. So upsetting. I thought Desperado did a great job post-match of kind of just giving a great promo of like, this is what we do. This is unfortunately kind of what comes with it. It's a real shame, but I look forward to poor Doki coming back and, hopefully getting his rematch. Hopefully these two can have the match that they want to, that they've set out to have.
Yep.
But just really upsetting because this was Doki's moment. He probably, I don't want to say definitely, but he may not ever get to this big title. He'll probably never get this big Tokyo Dome singles title match again. So that's why I'm a bit upset about it.
Yeah, hot start, very disappointing way to end that match. IWGP Global Heavyweight Title match. Yota Tsuji defeats David Finlay in 20 minutes, roughly. Scotty, big match. Tsuji showed up. This is as great as we hoped it could be. We talk about this every time big match Tsuji has a match that typically he doesn't quite show up. Typically, his big matches are kind of disappointments. Everything else is really good. And you're excited for the big matches, then you're like, oh, okay, it's a little disappointment. No, not here. This match was great. Tsuji showed up and showed out. David Finlay, what a way to cap off a great 2024, in my opinion, for David Finlay. This match was exactly what I hoped it was going to be, and I'm so happy that it was great. And we got a great big match. Tsuji, call up Wrangler, because I'm going to need a new pair of jeans. Mine were blasted. Scotty, thoughts on this global heavyweight title match?
You can make this about Tsuji all you want. This was a David Finlay masterclass. This was incredible by David Finlay. Like, what a year, man. What a freaking year for the Rebel. He turned it all around. I remember last year when he won the global title in the Ospreay match, right? People questioned why. Why is he getting this win? Why are they continuously going with him? And over a year, he proved everyone wrong. He enters a match with Yota Tsuji that I saw a lot of people not really looking forward to, unless you were, in the depths of New Japan, watching all the big shows and knew what David Finlay was capable of. And he absolutely proved anyone that believed in him correctly. He had an incredible showing to set up Yota Tsuji for the big major win. These two, this man did a triple dominator. Not one, not two, but three. I was like, this is the best match of the night. What's beating this? Nothing, by the way. Nothing beat this. Nothing remotely came close to this, actually. And Finlay looked incredible. Tsuji had his moment. This was the most successful match on this show. Like, it hit everything it needed to be. It was great. Got Tsuji over. No complaints whatsoever. Like, I couldn't ask for more from this match. I really couldn't. I'm very happy with what David Finlay has done. And I really hope he doesn't go anywhere because, man, oh man, for me, he's the best foreigner in the company right now.
Ooh, but even better than Zach.
After this weekend, yeah. I'm not feeling great about Zach right now.
I don't think it's Zach's fault, but go on.
I will get to the main event. He's not free of blame on that main event. He doesn't get all of it. Trust me, he does not get all of it. But yeah, I think I rather watch Finlay's matches than Zach's matches. I think Finlay's style is way more exciting. I mean, he did it the next night too in an absolute car wreck of a match. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm big on big old Dave here. I was unfortunate to see him lose, obviously, which was bound to happen. But
yeah,
as long as he stays in the company,
Yeah, of
I'll be
course,
shocked if he doesn't get an IWGP World Title reign sometime.
It's post Wrestle Kingdom, so of course there's rumors of all the foreigners' contracts up. As
Yeah.
per typical, David Finlay is part of that rumor, but as part of the same part
He had
of
a contract type weekend, like the type of weekend where like people are gonna be like, "Oh,
WWE comes a calling.
WWE, leave him alone.
Uh,
AEW, leave him alone."
it's part of those rumors as well as that New Japan is very interested in keeping him. So I would suspect that they keep him successfully. That being said, I wouldn't also blame David Finlay if he left for more money. He also has a new kid that just came into his life, so I wouldn't blame him. That being said, I don't think there is like a really good spot out there for David Finlay and these other companies, WWE and AEW. I don't know
New
necessarily
Japan's
how
the best spot.
yeah, I don't really know how WWE would fit him in to their world right now. I think they're kind of
He'd be in
good.
NXT, which like no thanks.
AEW,
You haven't fit in AEW at all.
I think he gets
AEW,
lost in the pack. He gets lost in the pack. There's like he would fit in like a Don Callis family role, but they're filled to the brim right now.
AEW does not need to sign anyone right now. That might hurt AEW fans. They do not need to sign anyone right now.
Mhm.
They need to figure out what they got right now. They have so much talent under contract. Same goes for WWE, but I never think WWE needs to sign anyone because they just print stars at this point.
Yeah.
But you know, we're talking about a company where there's so many people that AEW fans feel like so many people miscast or underutilized or whatever. Why add to that right now? They don't need to add to that. David Finlay should 100% stay in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the next year. I'd love to see it for the next 2 years. I think he has a world title coming his way within the next 2 years if he stays.
100% agree.
I'm hoping he does. What a great showing here from him. And then obviously Suji, sets the future up, right? Now we have one of them with a belt. I'd argue the right one out of the options that were available. And it kind of leads to presumably him and Yuya Uemura maybe at Dominion. Because based on New Year's Dash, what I thought we were going, we're rushing to. So okay. Spoiler alert.
We'll talk about a little bit of that in a moment.
New Year's Dash was terrible, by the way. Very boring show.
Singles match, special singles match here, of course, the semi-main event on the Wrestle Kingdom. Tetsuya Naito defeats Hiromu Takahashi in 17 minutes and 8 seconds. Look, I thought this match, Scotty, was the best you were going to get out of both of these guys. I'm also, what's the opposite of biased? Lack of bias. Well, not unbiased, but like I am biased in like a negative sense. Like I've never been like a big fan of Hiromu or Naito. But still understanding.
Naito takes crazy.
Yeah, well, I still understand that they're great wrestlers and they're really good wrestlers, and I still enjoy their work a lot of times. But I enjoy their work in the vacuum of, but I also don't necessarily care about them in that sense. I'm not a fan of theirs. I enjoy their work, but I'm not a fan of theirs. That's my point. So I'm coming out from that angle. I also think this is the best you're going to get out of them. Naito is extremely a shell of his former self, and I think Hiromu is as well. Not as bad as Naito, but Hiromu is there. I think this is the best you were going to get in a 17-minute match here. Naito picks up the win. That's fine. That's whatever. We roll on into Wrestle Dynasty. Was it worth waiting this many years and all these sort of things? No, obviously not. The preference would have been to do this pre-pandemic, but obviously things couldn't happen, and we have gone this direction. Was it the wrong move to not have this main event? No, this should not have main event. Now in hindsight, everyone that said this should have been the main event of the show are crazy, because in hindsight, 100% this should not have main evented. A perfectly fine semi-main event, perfectly fine for have a big star in here, but this match was never going to be great, and it was perfectly fine for what they were able to deliver. Any thoughts on this match, Scotty, for the semi-main for Wrestle Kingdom?
I thought the moment was nice for them to share the ring. I think the crowd cared a lot about that fact. Had this happened 5 years ago, could have been one of probably the best matches of the year. Ultimately,
Sure.
it does not happen 5 years ago. Instead, it happens 5 years later. Naito takes this crazy back bump on the power bomb, the sunset flip power bomb to the outside, and I honestly think he was just gone from there. Like, I watched him take that, and I was like, that looked rough, and he was rough from there. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a Wrestle Kingdom level match, name value alone, so I have no problem with being on Wrestle Kingdom. I still preferred it over the shitty main event that was after this, but we'll get to that. I am so excited to talk about this main event.
Well, let's just get into it because I don't think there's much more to talk about it, just other than the
No,
sort of.
it was a very
is what it was.
basic match. Like they
Yeah.
just hit their finishers on each other. That
Mhm.
was it.
Yeah, it was sort of a match that was it is what it is sort of situation. Main event, Wrestle Kingdom, a very controversial, I'll say, main event. On Cage Match, it is a 6.56, which does not reflect its controversy. We have 19 people giving it a 10. A lot of people arguing going up that high, but there's also a lot of people giving it zeros, ones, twos, threes, and fours. A very controversial, all over the place rating for this main event. IWGP World Heavyweight Title match. Zack Sabre Jr. retains his title against Shota Umino in a 43-minute match. Scotty, there's a lot to unpack here. Thoughts on your main event that I know for a fact you hated?
I hated this match. This was terrible. This is the worst Tokyo Dome main event I've ever seen. I don't care if that makes me like wrong. I don't care. Like people could tell me I should not watch New Japan anymore. This was terrible. This was everything wrong with where New Japan can be sometimes. They refuse to alter their main event style. And this was the time you had to alter it. They altered it last year with Sonata and Naito. They knew they couldn't do a 43-minute match. And it worked to them. So why would you make these two do it? Shota Umino is not ready. And I don't think he's ever going to be ready. They're going to keep trying with him because boy, oh boy, nepotism is a wonderful thing when you were Shota Umino. But this guy stinks. Plain and simple. The preview tags and all that were so exciting and had people very excited about Shota Umino maybe being back. They were just preview tags. When you do a preview tag where you have these little moments, you can kind of hide away your struggles.
Yep.
And
ultimately, he could be a great tag team wrestler.
Sure. And ultimately, when you put it on full display in a 43-minute match and waste my goddamn time for essentially the first 20 minutes, I'm done. I'm out. I could care less what you do the last 23. And I don't think any of this helped each other. I don't think Zach helped himself or Shota either as the champion. I don't think any of this match was designed very well, right? There was a point where Zach was it Zach that hurt his ankle, I think, and someone hurt their ankle and they just didn't work towards it until like the last 10 minutes. I was like, what? This is the basis of wrestling. They went for the Jay White Kota Ibushi long match.
They went for the epic.
Yeah, they went for the epic, and it was an epic fail. That's what it was. Congratulations. Like this stunk. I was so disappointed after this match. And I'm again, if I'm on an island here, that's fine. Doesn't sound like I am based on I was there. I was there for the live reactions. Everyone, like at the 27-minute mark or something, everyone was like, why is this still going? Like, can this please end? And then it kept going for like another, 14 minutes. Like an absolute fail. It's very funny. After this weekend, I walked away watching Zack Sabre Jr. successfully defend the IWGP World Title twice on back-to-back nights. First person to ever do it in the Tokyo Dome. And I said to myself, do they hate Zack Sabre Jr.? That's how I walked away from this weekend. How is that possible? I'll never know. They obviously don't because they trust him to be their champion and whatnot. But oh my God, I couldn't stand this. I'm done with Shota Umino. Frankly, I'm done with Zach's reign. Move on. I'm done.
Well, I thought the match itself was a little bit better in terms of the work than you did, but ultimately I still very much agree with the content of what you're describing there, Scotty. I think the match layout failed in a lot of different parts. I think the big part is, to me, in terms of a Zach angle, Zach should be more of a dominant champion than he was here. It should not be. I don't believe Shota Umino is on the same playing field as Zack Sabre Jr. when it comes to catch can wrestling. That's a great screenshot of
that selling there. I was like this.
Shota Umino. We'll talk to Shota Umino in a second. But in terms of Zack Sabre Jr., I think the match layout of being on the same level as Shota Umino is the wrong layout to do. I get it because you're trying to up Shota Umino's game here, but Zack Sabre Jr. should look way more dominant, similar to the Ricochet match, whereas obviously that was more told that way because of a difference in styles. I see Zack Sabre Jr. as a way better wrestler than Shota Umino, specifically in technical wrestling. And I don't think that Zach could have done that. I also don't think Zach should live in these epic match lengths, especially for a guy that former New Japan World TV Champion toured the globe for at least a year, beating everyone around the globe, either beating or getting to a 15-minute time limit. Regularly, I should say, beating people at a 15-minute time limit, Scotty. You would have lowered the main event style, the pace of the main event style, to 20, 25 minutes maybe. Instead, we're going 43. There's no reason for that, especially for Zack Sabre Jr., especially for a guy who 2023 proved that he can beat people at 15 minutes. Granted, main event, you can extend that a little bit more, but not to 43 minutes. That's just an insane, ungodly length. And it doesn't make sense to me with Zack Sabre Jr. in this company. Shota Umino, he's not that guy. He's not that guy, pal. He's just not that guy. I can't care for a baby face underdog story in an epic when I have reverse interest in him. I don't believe he can wrestle hold for hold versus Zack Sabre Jr., despite what that's what they want to show me. I don't believe Shota Umino. I think his selling isn't great. I think his wrestling is not there. You brought up the tag team, Scotty. I said he would be great tag team wrestling. What was, I think, everyone's most interesting time period for Shota Umino? I'll answer the question for you, Scotty. It was when he was teaming up with Ren Narita. I think we can agree that was when he was really interesting. When he was a tag team wrestler with Ren Narita. That was 2 years ago at this point. And he should be back to being a tag team wrestler because that's ultimately where he was best, because you can hide the stuff. He's a guy that they think can be Hiroshi Tanahashi. And the guy was sitting on commentary next to this match, next to the ring, watching their new ace, and he did not look happy after the match. I hope that New Japan back office saw this match, saw Shota Umino and said, this is not that guy. He is, Shibata can, Ren Narita can be Shibata, sure, whatever, who gives a shit. That was a failure. Tsuji can be Nakamura, kind of working so far, I guess. But this guy is not your ace. They are not looking for an Okada. They are looking for Tanahashi, and they think they have it in Shota Umino, and I think they are making a mistake to continue going with Shota Umino. He is not the guy. He should be in a tag team. He should be in the TV title picture working 15-minute sub matches. He is not this main event type guy. He can work. I thought we'll talk about the Claudio match in a moment. I thought that match was better simply because it was shorter. This guy cannot go the epics. They should not be doing the epics overall in New Japan anyways, but this is not a guy that can do the epic long style whatsoever in Shota Umino. He should be doing shorter stuff. He should not be in the main event picture. He is not their ace. They need to find someone else quickly because they're going to make more mistakes by pushing this guy any more than they already have. He's never going to get there. He's never going to get there. I truly do not believe it in him. And Tanahashi, when he first started being that ace, has detractors as well. Tanahashi, when he first started being that ace, he had issues regarding women. I see the similarities. I get it. It's wrong. Shota Umino is not Tanahashi. I don't think he will ever get there. At best, he's a Naito, somebody that could be
He's
good.
not a Naito.
But yeah, he needs a repackaging. He needs to be a
Naito-
tag team wrestler. He needs to do something else.
Naito became the most popular star in the company. This
Mhm.
guy's not ever going to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think this guy is going to leave.
I don't think they're going to send him somewhere else to get better.
I agree.
They're
The
not
last
gonna
time
do
they
that.
sent him somewhere, that they sent him to the Rev Pro, and he got so fat, I'll say it, that they pulled him from shows until he lost weight. Like, that is legitimately what happened with this guy. Last time they were afraid to showcase one of their guys the last time they sent him somewhere else.
He's not. I don't think he's a guy that has the focus or drive necessary to be that guy. I don't think he's ever going to have it. I don't think they're going to will it into him.
I also don't think they're going to turn him heel.
I don't think
The booking itself.
So far, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, the booking itself does not read as returning him heel. It's the backstage comments and everything everyone's saying online that says we got to turn this guy heel. Nothing about the booking right now tells me he's turning heel.
The thing for me with him is that I don't really care anymore. Like, I'm done.
Mhm.
I have no interest in watching him. I think he's just another guy.
Yep.
And that's that. Like,
especially when like Tsuji had a great match right before, or not right
Right.
before, but 2 matches before.
right. And they have other guys. That's the thing. They have a way where they have Tsuji. They got Uemura.
We'll talk about it.
Uemura
We'll talk
would've been
about
the
it.
spot.
We'll talk about it shortly. But Kid immediately shoved Kid up.
Yeah. I still think Uemura might have been considered had what happened to him didn't happen.
Mhm.
And I think they really are going to want him back sooner than later. Yeah, for me, Shota Umino is just a mid-card guy at best for the rest of time, but I don't think they're going to give up on him. They should, but based on Tanahashi's face, they absolutely should. I've seen worse matches so far this year, but this will be the one that I remember as the worst match of the year because of the importance, the stakes, the moment it was in, and the way it flopped to me. It's gonna be impressive. If you remember, I hated the World's End main event. This just made me have a different appreciation for that one because this stunk and it was so long. It was so long. I felt like we were back in COVID times for New Japan when every single main event was 30 plus minutes just for the sake of being 30 plus minutes. I thought we had gotten away from that, so seeing this happen was a real shame.
Do you think? Devil's advocate here thing. Do you think they added time to the main event because the junior match went so short?
No, I think it was going to be 43.
Or at least, 40 roughly.
I think it was going to be long, no matter
Yeah.
what. And just because it's the New Japan main event. And it flopped. Every time, except for like one, every time Shota Umino has had to go long, he doesn't do well. Ever. Right? The only time he did do well was with Ospreay, and it wasn't this long.
But again, I keep bringing it up whenever people bring up the Ospreay point. I'm going to bring it up again. That was with fucking Will Ospreay. One of the best wrestlers of all time.
And everyone's going to get really mad at me when we talk about Dynasty, when I talk about Ospreay.
Will Ospreay got a 4-star match at a Matt Cardona. He could get something out of Shota Umino. All right?
All right, I don't believe that one.
I've seen it.
Yeah, but at least they had story. Like this sucked. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. Fuck Shota Umino.
Yeah. I really push back on the Will Ospreay stuff because it's like he had a great match with Will Ospreay.
But that's the most I've ever seen Will Ospreay tell a story in a match too.
Sure.
It went both ways for that match. Like
I thought the Shota Umino Moxley match wasn't good. I thought this was bad.
A lot of people like that match, so this is starting to like some of this is you. I didn't like that match either.
Some of it is my preference as well. But I think it's the thing of I think Shota Umino has a lot more bad performances than he has
Yeah.
good ones.
You obviously didn't watch this live. The amount of people that were blaming Zack Sabre Jr.,
Yeah.
it was insane. It was insane. I was like, listen, I don't think Zach's getting off free from this at all because ultimately he's the champion. He should be the one designing this match, and none of this design to aid either of them.
Mhm.
Shota Umino stinks, buddy. Like there, it's gone. Like any hope you have for him, it's done. This was it. This was his last chance, and he failed, flopped
Yeah.
in the biggest possible spot.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Talk about Wrestle Dynasty 16-3 in the Tokyo Dome. This is, of course, the joint
Felt
show.
empty.
Excuse me, hon.
Besides one match, it felt empty. It was a real shame. Like watching this show, right? And I thought Wrestle Dynasty ultimately was a great show. But watching this show, I was like, yeah, this didn't need to be necessarily, except for one match. I don't think it needed to be in the Tokyo Dome. But
Yeah. Which is something
fine.
you've been saying in the previews and everything. But.
I have been saying it. I still feel right despite the show being great. It just would have benefited from being in another venue because I think there's stakes added. I think there's a lot of open air in the Tokyo Dome. So again,
I really enjoyed the light coming from the top of the dome. Like it had a sort of WrestleMania 3 thing to it, you know?
So the one thing I hate though is when you watch the pre-shows and they leave the lights on.
Oh, that I don't like.
I hate that. And when the women were out there, and I thought they did a great job, all things considered. But when the women were out there and the lights are on, and you see like half the fucking rows not even filled yet, I'm like, this is not good. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Anytime they leave those stupid fucking lights on in the Tokyo Dome, it sucks. Do you remember when they did they were doing the special like Tokyo Dome shows like in the middle of the year, and like the lights. Yeah, and the lights were just on the entire show. I was like, this doesn't look good. Why are you doing this?
You're showcasing that there's no one here. We already know that.
Right. 16,000 had to be a very upsetting number.
Yeah, I would think so. Especially for a joint show, you would have to think brings in a lot more international interest. And it certainly did bring in international interest, but
I wonder if you booked like bigger stars.
I wonder
Kenny.
I wonder if I can, while we do this review,
I guess.
I wonder if we, while I'm doing this review, can do like a quick analysis because night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom always had a dip, right?
Yes.
Because January 4th is always a thing. I wonder how percentage-wise this dip has done across over previous night 2 dips.
It's probably pretty equal.
That's what I want to see. I want to see if it's better or worse. Because if it's better than previous dips, then it's like I would give it like a moment of success. But
to be fair to previous dips, January 5th is not a holiday, and sometimes it happens on weekdays.
Yes,
this was not a weekday. This was Sunday. So like, you got to take that into account too. Anyways, I'll lead us into the show. You can start doing your math.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So the opening match was the International Women's Cup with Momo Watanabe getting the win. I was like, all right, pack it up. Show's over. I won. It was Momo Watanabe, Persephone, Willow Nightingale, and Athena when Momo Watanabe shockingly pinned Athena, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, after Tekla helped save the match, which of course led to more after. Momo swang for the fences, drilled Athena in the head, hit the peach sunrise, got the win. Just as an overall, I don't think this was my first time seeing her, but like one of the first times I've seen her. Persephone, Lucha Blog said it well. Every time a good performance happens, you add like minus a month to how long until NXT comes and takes someone. Persephone's next for sure. Yeah, no, it's gonna happen. I thought she was very impressive for someone that is stepping in there with 3 wrestlers that I think everyone obviously is very well aware are very great wrestlers on their best day, especially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought Persephone did a good job. I thought I thought it was just a fun opener. Really, I like they did what you would have liked that junior tag to do.
Yes.
On Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes.
Right, they went for it. Pace was great, and
Yes.
Momo getting the win was a great surprise.
Completely agree. Everyone fully expected it was going to be like Willow or something like that, and it wasn't. And it was
the trophy
good.
was hysterical, by the way.
Hysterically large.
Like when it just said like winner or something on it. Like it didn't say anything like specific. I was like, that is hilarious.
Winner. Yeah, I thought it was really a really fun pre-show opener. That was exactly what I wanted from it. Everyone looked really good. Momo, I thought, was really good, and a surprising win. Who does she go after? Obviously, she's not going to go after Saya Kamatani. I think that would be not necessarily like a mistake or anything like that, but like it just seems weird to me. I agree that maybe she should. But I think
it would be the best story, so I expect it to just be like, but she already said she's not doing the IWGP. She already said that will not be it.
Okay. Well, I think you also have to keep in mind she is able to go after the CMLL or the AEW Ring of Honor.
The CMLL match.
Yeah. I think if anything, she is probably going to go after the Ring of Honor. I think her pinning Athena really told that to me. Maybe Mariah May. No, that they're both heels. Maybe Mercedes.
You want my hot take? She already pinned Athena. She shouldn't have to use the title shot on her, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a good point. That's a legitimately good point there, Scotty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess remains to be seen where we go from there. What was next on this pre-show?
Just to say, Tekla will be challenging for the Ring of Honor Women's title at the Stardom Korakuen on January 13th. So
they did tee that up.
Yeah.
At one
point. So Athena will be sticking around in Japan for more than just this week, which is good because what could she possibly have to do in the States if we're being like what Ring of Honor, come on. So it's good for her. It'll be interesting. I hope Tekla has the best match of her life. I hope Tony Khan signs her after. See? Look at me being positive. The next match was the Ring of Honor tag title match. The Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, defeating Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho. This was a pre-show match. Every which way.
I thought this match was a well put together like tag match, but it was like it was still whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was like, yeah, this was fine. This was good.
It was cool to see Dustin in the Dome. That's essentially all I got out of it.
Yeah, it was cool to see this, but it was like this is ultimately a pre-show. It ultimately doesn't fully matter. So yeah, whatever. It was one of those things.
I was like, this could be a pre-show match on Forbidden Door. Like, yeah, I could see that.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm ultimately fine with what this was. I wasn't expecting crazy. I'm ultimately fine with what we got, I guess.
So we got to the main card, which opened with the Lucha Gauntlet.
Yeah, I love this. I thought this was
awesome. Everything about this was awesome. So it starts out with Hechicero and Kosei Fujita, followed by Jesus Christ himself, Soberano Jr.
Love the fit, my guy.
Unbelievable. Then Master Wato, then Masker Dorada, then Taiji Ishimori, then Teton, and then your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion El Desperado. Mm-hmm. I thought this was awesome. I had such a great time with this.
Despy coming out and everybody going on the apron to be like, I want to challenge you, I want to take you down, including Hechicero, and commentary putting that over, being like, Hechicero, I don't think he's in the right weight class, but he apparently also wants to take on Despy. I thought that was I could not stop laughing at that moment, Scotty. That was so good. I want to see it. I want to see it. Can we please, during Fantastica Mania, get a singles match between Despy and Hechicero? I would love it. Why not?
Kind of a dream.
That's a dream. That's a dream.
I everything was so much fun about this. I thought it was a perfect example of why the misusage of CML on the show was a real shame, truthfully, because I was like, this is great. Like, I'm having so much fun with this. They brought 4 of the best, period. End of story. Hechicero, Soberano Jr., Master Dorada, Teton. Like, hell yeah. And they put 4 great juniors in there. I loved seeing Kosei Fujita get the spot one day after winning the belt. I thought that was great for him. And I was really hoping, and this is my one critique of the match, I was really hoping like a CMLL guy would pin Desperado and set up a Fantastica Mania title match. But no, you have to rush to a Taiji Ishimori title match at Battle in the Valley instead for some reason. So that's my one, like the one person that I did not want to win one.
Yeah.
Essentially. So is what it is. But a lot of fun. Shout out to CMLL guys. Fantastic Mania is in February. God bless. Can't wait.
I think that the New Japan guys that they put in here were like the perfect guys to put in and showcase the Lucha guys,
Yes,
the CMLL guys.
I agree.
And they got just to really showcase how deep of a roster CMLL has. So many great guys in here. Teton, Hechicero, Soberano Jr. So many guys left on the table that didn't come in. That you could have easily brought them over, and I would have loved them.
Soberano Jr. needs to do so much more in 2025. This dude's way too good to not. Him and Dorada should be set up as rivals.
Sure.
Like, one's a Rudo, one's the super baby face they're going with. It's so obvious. Like, I watched these two. I'm like, how have they not done this yet? Obviously, Soberano Jr. was seemingly punished for a year. So hopefully his spot in the Tokyo Dome tells me maybe we're off of that now. So,
all right, you want my 2-night Wrestle Kingdom analysis?
Oh yes.
All right, I'll put it all together. So we'll start. Wrestle Kingdom 14 is when we start getting 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. Night 1 is the main event is Ibushi versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Title. Night 2 is Naito versus Okada in that double gold dash combination match. Basically 4,000 one night, 40,000 one night, 30,000 next night. That is a difference of 28% decrease for the first one.
Okay.
That's going to be, I'll tell you now, Scotty, the best decrease we're going to see.
Was the January 5th show on a Sunday?
I don't know. January 5th. What is this? 2020. It was a Sunday. So yeah,
Okay.
that's a good comp. That's a good comp to Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty. Wrestle Kingdom 15, your main event on night 1 is going to be the IWGP Heavyweight Intercontinental Title, Ibushi versus Naito. And your night 2 main event is Ibushi versus White. And Ibushi wins both of those matches. That's a 12,500 on night 1, almost 8,000 on night 2. That's a difference of 48% drop. Night 1 to night 2. That's tough.
No, that definitely wasn't a Sunday. I do remember that.
Yes, this was also during the pandemic, but also that's tough. Wrestle Kingdom 16, still pandemic, largely. 12,000 night 1, main event of that being Okada versus Shingo. Night 2, 6,300, main event is Okada versus Ospreay. This one also has a night 3, that's the Noah show, but we're going to ignore that for now.
Count.
But I'm going to bring it up just for now, just because of the reason. I'll say that later. A difference between a night 1 and night 2, 62% decrease. A big drop.
Jesus Christ.
You could see like, oh shit, this is not working. The double main event thing not working. How that's going to affect WWE, we'll find out. Moving on. Wrestle Kingdom 17. Now, I brought up the Noah thing earlier because this show technically people consider a night 1, night 2 situation, but I'm going to give you the math anyways. But I'm also bringing it up because night 1 here, January 4th, night 2, what people called it, is January 21st. Now, night 2 was also the LIJ versus Noah Congo show, but they still consider Wrestle Kingdom. But this is a Wrestle Kingdom that is not the same weekend, farther away. Why am I bringing this up, Scotty? Because that is one of the things Kadani said was that maybe a fix to Wrestle Dynasty is to put farther away. Wrestle
It was also not in the dome, by the way.
It was also not in the dome, I believe, which helps. It was in the Yokohama Arena. Still big, but way smaller. I think the capacity is actually 17,000. So we'll get to that number. But night 1 here is 26,000. Main event being Okada versus Jay White. Night 2, many moons later, different arena, way smaller arena. Kano versus Naito, 5,300. That is a difference of 130%.
Yeah.
Massive decrease. But it's a completely different building, a smaller building, kind of like you pitched for Wrestle Dynasty, but also a way different night, kind of what Kadani pitched, and you saw a 130% decrease in attendance.
Boy, howdy. How about that?
Wrestle Kingdom 18 only had night one, which was 27,000. Night 2 versus not in the main event. Night 2, or then Wrestle Kingdom 19 here, we had 24,000 in Wrestle Kingdom 19, 16,300 in Wrestle Dynasty for a decrease of 39%, Scotty. So move in the right direction. They went back up in terms of that number. They're in between basically Wrestle Kingdom 14, Wrestle Kingdom 15. I wouldn't necessarily call this a complete waste or a complete disappointment. It rewrote the ship that they were falling into for the past couple of years. But in terms of that Sunday to Sunday thing that you talked about, Wrestle Kingdom 14, the first time they did this, still lower. So not great. Definitely a disappointment. But the continuation of this is, I don't know. I don't know about switching it. Switching it to another show will be real rough, I think. Or another building, I should say. Switching it
to be a different month too.
Yeah, switching to another night like the Wrestle Kingdom 17 is going to be even rougher, I think. They're not going to be able to do another Kenny Omega return match. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I would be worried about doing another thing. I think if anything, this proves to me that a night 2 in New Japan doesn't really work fully. Because they went up on just one night 1, not by much, right? Last Wrestle Kingdom 17 was 26,000, Wrestle Kingdom 18 27,000, so not by much, but they went up a little bit. They probably saved money, right? Because they're not renting 2 buildings. So I don't know.
It's still the Tokyo Dome.
No, I'm saying like they Wrestle Kingdom 17, they got 5,500 in the different building and rented another building. They had more expenses and all that sort of stuff. So there's an argument that Wrestle Kingdom 18, they went up a little bit in attendance, but didn't also do another building. So yeah, would I do it again? I don't know. I think that's a tough spot. That's the kind of number where it's like, to me, I would maybe do it again, maybe another night, maybe a different building, but it's going to go down. Whatever it is, the numbers are going to go down attendance-wise next year, no matter what.
I don't think we'll see a Wrestle Dynasty anytime soon.
Moving right along, exhibition match, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Katsuya Shibata, time limit draw, 5 minutes. We got this after the post show of Tanahashi and Evil. A pretty good match for what it was, a 5-minute exhibition. And Shibata in the post match promo basically said, "Forbidden Door?" ... question mark. So yeah, I suspect we'll see it in Forbidden Door.
He essentially said these bitches won't clear me, so will you wrestle me somewhere else, please?
Even the president of the company cannot clear me for a match. It had to be an exhibition.
It was a real shame. I would have loved to see them obviously have a real match. It would have been great for the vibes and whatnot, but it was fun.
Gotta pop out Tanahashi headbutting Shibata. The crowd being like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, it was very funny.
They're really trying.
What are they gonna do now?
Yeah, they're really trying. New Japan Strong Women's title and Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's title. The Queen of the British. Who's it going to be? Of course, it was Mercedes Moné. Gets the win. Shout out Laney Poffo. 14 minutes and 6 seconds. Mercedes Moné gets the win. I thought this was a really good match. Definitely nowhere close to the Hazuki match, but no one expected it to be that good.
I didn't know where you're going.
Yeah, Hazuki is that good, but I thought it was still a really good match here. Mercedes Moné, I think, is rewriting the ship about her 2024 successfully, and I think this was another match that continues that trend of good wrestling matches.
Yeah. This is the best Mina's look since like 2023. Like it was the same style she wrestled her big matches in that year. So it was nice to see.
Yeah.
Mercedes is great. Super cool to see her get her moment, obviously, in the Tokyo Dome, something she said she's dreamt of forever. So that was really, really cool. The match itself, was quite good. I enjoyed it. I think in terms of the back-to-back nights of having a women's singles match in the Tokyo Dome, I think they both proved that they deserve to be on these shows 1,000%, and hopefully it just continues from here. I thought Mercedes winning was the least shocking result of any show because, like, duh. she's going to be the champion of all things. That's kind of what we're doing. We're going to give her more belts, and her fans that used to love her in WWE but hate her now can continue to cry on social media. And yeah, it's great. And I'll just say it one more time. Just give her the world title. What's going to happen? I know this is what's going to happen. She's going to get all these belts. Then she's going to lose them all. And then she's going to go for the world title.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to go. And that's fine. It's a lot of fun to see. It's going to be very funny watching her walk out with 4 belts because Mercedes Moné is not a big person. This is she's small. So watching her be like, here we go.
She should come out on Dynamite with a wagon. Just like
that would be awesome.
Carrying a wagon, like one of those small toy wagons just behind her with all these belts and all this gold.
What is there another belt she can win? IWGP probably, I guess.
CMLL?
She should win the CMLL because they don't give a shit.
Why not?
She goes into because she wants a match in Arena Mexico. She showed up there after all, right?
Yeah.
So,
who is the CMLL Women's Wrestling Champion?
Zeuxis, maybe?
Zeuxis sounds right, but that's the only other. Persephone is the only other wrestler I can name. Reina Isis? Is it Reina Isis? Let's see.
I don't know, man.
Zeuxis. It is Zeuxis.
I'm locked in. Shouts out to me. Doesn't Persephone have a belt? Or she did have a belt? I just remember seeing her with a belt once. Maybe
I think maybe she was teaming up with it was Luvia that was teaming up.
Oh, you know what? Unagi Sayaka has the CML Japan women's belt. Maybe she can win that one next.
All right.
She can then she can win the what else is out there that AEW works with that she can win?
Noah, the GHC women's.
That would be a real curveball. Yeah, no, but good for her. Very cool to see her get all the belts and continue the undefeated streak. Whoever beats her is going to get a lot from it. So,
well, a lot of gold too. Should not get a lot, but
if she puts them all in line every match, it'd be very funny.
I hope one day AEW. Tony Khan loves these belt collecting gimmicks. Sure does.
I
would love for AEW at some point to have 2 belt collectors and redo the was it Great Sasuke and Liger match? I believe it was. And just at the end of it, one person getting draped in gold and have the picture. That's what I want. That's what I want in my wrestling right now. Moving right along, David Finlay defeats Brody King in a slugger of a match.
Yeah, baby. David Finlay, man. MVP of the Tokyo Dome.
MVP of the weekend, for sure.
Yeah. I said with full confidence, no matter what happens after this match, this was David Finlay's weekend, folks. He's the one leaving with the momentum. He's the one leaving as the MVP of the weekend. Him and Brody King freaking was awesome. This was, I couldn't ask for more. This was a car crash 10 times when David Finlay just sent his entire body into Brody to crash him into the barricade. I was like, yeah, this is the type of shit you want to see. Originally on paper, these two were an odd pairing, right? Because, Finlay's been the powerhouse of his matches, right? So how would it work? And then he hits a freaking power bomb at Brody King. You're like, that's how it would work. Gotcha.
But not just that. A thing that I think everyone forgot, especially us.
Brody King's awesome.
Brody King's awesome. No, not that. That what they did in this match was a throwback to sort of babyface underdog David Finlay in a lot of ways, and him working from underneath
once upon a time.
Working from underneath, right? And we both enjoyed that period for David Finlay, and we went back to that, and then during the match evolved back into big time badass David Finlay throwing dominators and power bombs left and right, and I was like, perfect. This was a perfect match. This was so good. I love this. David Finlay ruled here. Brody King obviously ruled here. Great match.
Not to make a joke, but this would have been my second favorite match on the Wrestle Kingdom following his match.
Yeah, that's fair. But really good stuff from David Finlay and Brody King. And legitimately, I thought this match was really, really good. I think between this weekend, if there is anybody that is primed to potentially be the next world champion, I think it might be David Finlay. So get ready, y'all. David Finlay, 2025. That might be the thing. It might be the thing. Singles match, Shota Umino defeats Claudio. As we've already sort of mentioned this a little bit. I like this match more than the main event. Still, well, I'm not saying it was a great match, but I think it was solid for what it was. It was better because it was way shorter. It was 15 minutes. What do you think of this one? Shota, of course, getting the win here.
I didn't like Shota winning. That was lame. Thought it kind of defeated the whole purpose of losing a 40-plus minute match just to come back and beat Claudio the next night. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. The match was fine. I didn't have any qualms about it, like as an actual match itself. But yeah, just the result. I thought they could have went a different direction and it would have made more sense. But it's fine. I get it. They just want Shota to get back on the winning track, leading to a match with Moxley, which, by the way, I couldn't want less. I couldn't be less interested in Jon Moxley right now. I couldn't be less interested in Shota Umino right now. They're gonna run it back at Windy City Riot, I'm sure. And who wants that?
A Shota Umino Wheeler Yuta tag team could be really good.
That's not it'd be interesting. Yeah. I don't like Wheeler Yuta much either, so that would really be.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe, let's put them together.
Yeah, maybe that's the solution for both of them. Interesting.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see.
Also, I meant to make this point. Shota still doesn't have a new fucking finisher. Get the fuck out of here, dummy! All this time they put you in the Tokyo Dome main event, and you can't think of anything new. God, we talked about this with Chris Samsa last year going into the Tokyo Dome. 1 year later, this guy's main eventing the goddamn show, and he's still doing the same move that isn't his.
And don't get me started on that dumb-looking bike. All right, let's move on. AEW International title, Never Openweight title. Konosuke Takeshita defeats Tomohiro Ishii. We obviously already kind of talked about this as well. Takeshita, another great match. I actually like this match more than the Shingo one. I thought Ishii was great here.
Did, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought that Ishii was great here. I thought Takeshita obviously was great. I think they have a great dynamic that was established during that Forbidden Door multi-man during the elbow exchange, and we got a little bit more of that here. Ishii was great. Takeshita was great. Great weekend for Takeshita. Another guy that, like, man, belt up this guy. Oh, wait, they already have.
Yeah, they have. This match, it was great. Takeshita's the man. Fuck, like, what else do I gotta say about him?
Yeah,
I keep saying it and saying it and saying it. Dude's great. This weekend put in a perspective a lot for me as a fan. And after what happens later in the night, I remembered that Konosuke Takeshita beat Kenny Omega in AEW, and they proceeded to do nothing with him
twice,
once in singles action. And I remembered that after all this, and I was like, how did we just not know like that shit was gonna hit the fan? Like, come on, man, it took so long.
Yeah.
Takeshita, yeah, this guy fucking rules. Like, and Ishii was, the great opponent for him. And now Takeshita's just picking his opponents. He's facing Kushida at Battle in the Valley. That's a wild, like, I never thought of that matchup, but that's interesting to me. Kushida gives me a lot of hope these days because of what he did in the Best of Super Juniors last year. Yeah, he was great in that. And it's just fun. And he wants to face Bolton Oleg too. Like, come on, man. This is great. We're having a great time. If you're a Takeshita fan, you're having a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really, really good. Probably second best match on the show. Everything was a distant match, to be fair, from one, but this was really good.
IWGP Tag Team Triple Threat match. The Young Bucks get the win here, picking up the IWGP Tag Team titles by defeating Great-O-Khan, his partner Jeff Cobb. His lover turned out to be Jeff Cobb, and added to the match Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. So Young Bucks.
3 people tried in this match. 3 people tried.
I think the Young Bucks tried.
and Great O'Khan.
I was
He had
gonna
to
say-
break up so many pins.
I was gonna say Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb tried. I think Jeff Cobb did a good enough stuff. But
Jeff Cobb tried more the day before, so maybe that's why I was like, eh.
But this match ultimately just built around the Young Bucks.
Oh,
You could have slotted in anybody else into this match, and it did not matter. The Young Bucks put it together, made themselves look great, and they got the win. 13 minutes and 46 seconds later, pick up the belts, moving on. A good match, but not great. And also, Hiromu and Naito. Who gives a shit? I don't remember.
They were just there for the vibe of like, yeah, sure.
The only thing I remember of Hiromu is him getting hit with some moves, that super kick by Matt Jackson. And the only thing I can remember.
I don't remember anything that they did.
I can't remember a single thing Naito did in this match. Other than take Nick Jackson's t-shirt and throw it back in the referee's face.
It was
Or Matt
stunning that Naito didn't have a t-shirt on himself.
I would have thought he was going to take that t-shirt, put it on, and then wrestle in that.
It was in the Tokyo Dome. He must have been like,
I got to do something.
I'm not gonna wear the shirt, but that's how I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
This was actually kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a funny match. Like, it was good. Like, it didn't have a problem with it. It's interesting that the Young Bucks are champions because there's no like match I'm sitting here like, ooh, I can't wait for this one. This would have been really funny if they faced Hanare and Great O'Khan.
I think that would have been fun. I honestly think that match would have been better than this 3-way. Because at least you would have gotten 4 people who are probably going to be working. You know, Hanare would have worked too hard.
Yeah, the try hard of the year would have tried. Yeah,
that
would have been a good match to try it. To be fair,
yeah, I agree. Like, I think that would have actually been probably better than this.
But I think they were adding Naito and Hiromu no matter what.
That is probably also accurate.
So, I just want to say this before we move forward. 16,000 tickets. Had you announced Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Katsuyori Shibata and Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu for this show earlier, you probably could have sold a couple more tickets. Just a thought.
Yeah, I wonder if they, or even like Naito and Hiromu in this match earlier as well, instead of, was it the night before? I think is when they got added.
After their match.
Yeah. So
had you added both of these things, that sells more tickets, guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't know how many more tickets they sold in one day.
Instead, you had a show without Tanahashi, Naito, and Hiromu, 3 of your most popular acts. Now, no matter how you feel about them in their current state,
and you added them last second,
like they're here to sell tickets at this stage of the game, and they just weren't on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny, very funny.
Next up, IWGP Global Heavyweight Title match, first title defense for Tsuji. Defends against Jack Perry. This match was whatever. I didn't really like fully care for this match. But that being said, we got big match Tsuji the night previous, so whatever. It's fine.
Match wasn't good.
Yeah.
Jack Perry stinks.
Yeah.
Jack Perry's in the Shota Umino bin for me.
I'm not gonna put him in Shota Umino yet, but he's leaning. He's like teetering on the edge.
His one good match in the scapegoat character was against who? Shota Umino.
That's true. That is
something to think about, folks.
That is true. That is definitely true. Moving on
to the real main event here.
Yes, Kenny Omega defeats Gabe Kidd, 31 minutes and 55 seconds. A match of the year contender. I went 5 on it. I thought this match was undoubtedly great. Just legitimately a great match. Gabe Kidd, all-time performance from him. Obviously, I think he put in great effort and succeeded. The crowd investment in this match was ridiculous. Kenny Omega, what can I say? The guy still got it. I love hearing Dave's audio being like, I don't give a shit. Fuck up, rip up everything. Put the belt on Kenny Omega. Put AEW World Title on Kenny Omega right now. The guy's it. Yeah. And he feels even better. Like what I felt from him was Bullet Club Kenny Omega. And that was more important.
Japan, Kenny.
Yeah, more so than New Japan. I felt Bullet Club Kenny Omega, New Japan. Like, I felt 2017 Kenny Omega.
Like the heel version.
Yeah, the heel version, the intensity. Obviously, not necessarily the speed. It was still kind of there, but not fully. He is way older.
To be fair, New Japan Kenny Omega was Bullet Club Kenny Omega.
Yes, but I'm saying that like the Ospreay return and all these sort of things and his run in AEW. I never fully got that. I think we got it here. The intensity was next level. It was great. The crowd booing Kenny Omega ruled because the crowd was so invested in Gabe Kidd and his story and his defense and supporting him. That made Kenny Omega rule harder. And obviously then turning the crowd around. The bloodshed in this match ruled. The chair shots ruled. The table shots ruled. Everything in this match was great. The speed was there. The intensity was there. The heat undoubtedly was there. I was super interested in it. I was super invested in this match. Everything about this was great. Everything about this was great. Coming away from this, Scotty, you have to have Kenny Omega go back to AEW and just immediately put the AEW title on him. Fuck up everything. Who cares? Just take the title from Moxley. That would still be a big match because they got a big time rivalry, but they would just go back to this. Gabe Kidd, immediately, this is a guy that you should put into the world title picture. I'm not necessarily going to pull the trigger maybe on winning the title, but at the very least, give him some big time moments this year. And he deserves it. He had a great effort. He might not get this sort of match again from other people, but he proved that he can do it. Now you just need to give him some good dance partners to be able to do it. But the problem is, I don't think you're going to get as good of a dance partner as Kenny by God Omega. Scotty, the floor is yours.
Kenny Omega made Gabe Kidd in one night. And I think my biggest takeaway from this match, and maybe it's a terrible takeaway, that's fine, but it's my takeaway. There's not a single soul in AEW that is remotely near Kenny Omega. Sorry to the Will Ospreay fans. Sorry to the John Moxley fans, if there's any left. The Hangman fans. Hell, fuck, even when he was around, the Bryan Danielson fans. There's not a soul near what he is capable of at his very best. This guy missed 13 months of action. 13 months of action. He was out. Gone from wrestling. As he said in his promo, had his intestines taken out and all these things, right? And he comes back, incredible shape, presented like a god, because that's how New Japan has always presented Kenny Omega. And I watch him in this match, and I watch his performance, and I'm just like, there's no one else that does this. There just isn't. And I was like, he just ruined so many, specifically AEW wrestlers for me, because he's going to go back there now. And that's his place. So that's where I'm going to compare. He ruined everyone there for me.
He reminded us the extent of the scale, how far that scale goes out.
1000%. Like someone said that there is I think it was Ibu said there was an artistic gap between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, and people were so mad because they're like, "How dare you?" I was like, "No, there is. Like, there is a gap between the peak of one and the peak of the other. I truly believe that, because as sensational as Ospreay can be in the ring, Kenny is both sensational, a storyteller. He brought Gabe Kidd from, okay, this is kind of a weird match to do, but we'll see. They want Gabe Kidd to be their next guy, to Gabe Kidd is their next guy. Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd pulled off the Brett and Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2025. That is a very rare thing to do. Gabe is a fascinating wrestler because despite his outbursts, despite my previous problems with him, they fucking love him. And you felt it. And you felt it
not just the back office, but the crowd.
The crowd loves him. This was the most into a match the crowd was the entire weekend.
This match had Wrestle Kingdom of old aura all over it.
And it's because of Kenny Omega. Anyone that has asked me if they don't like Gabe Kidd or whatever, I was like, I don't care. You have to watch this match. You have to watch this match because of what Kenny does.
It will change your mind on Gabe Kidd.
It'll do your best. You'll understand. You will understand why they're going to go with him at the very least, right? Because of the crowd connection. You may not like Gabe even after this because of other reasons. I understand that.
He was a try-hard award contender for us this year.
But you will understand from here on out why they're going to go with him. It's because in one night, like I said, Kenny Omega made him. The match itself was truly fantastic. Watching Kenny just somehow go back in time was legitimately surreal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I forgot how you can forget how great someone is. Not even when they're gone, but when they're just there. Like in AEW towards the end of last time, he was just there. We know this, right? The Golden Jets. Who the fuck cares? This is the Kenny Omega that needs to be there every single week. And I don't think it's ever been up to him to not have this presentation. Now it has to be. This is a guy that has power. You need to go back to AEW and say, this is what I am. I am nothing else besides the god of this promotion. His post-match promo that AEW posted tells me that's the direction we're going. Screw the Continental title. I don't give a shit about that thing. Get him the world title and then make him an Okada at All In. I am ripping up every plan. That was the funniest thing I think from this entire weekend for me, is that both companies that were the most involved on this show had to rip up their plans moving forward. That's how I felt for their world title. New Japan for vastly different reasons. AEW because Kenny Omega is now here. Kenny Omega is now here. We were talking about, was it last week or the week before, where you might just want to pivot to Ospreay or something soon because this isn't working, right? With the world. Fuck that. Kenny Omega is the guy. Okay. And someone said he should just be in the Casino Gauntlet and win that and just get the match at Maximum Carnage and just put the belt on him. I was like, fuck yeah. I'm not even against that. Sorry, Darby. Apologies.
I heard
I've
heard some people pitch Yuta. No, sorry, Yuta.
No,
hit the bricks.
No, there's not a soul that should be the next world champion in AEW than Kenny Omega. It just, I legitimately watched this match and I was like, I haven't felt that way after a New Japan match, an AEW match in a long time. I'll consider both because they're the same for this show. And I was like, he's one of one. He is really one of one. And
we have Ric Flair and Will Ospreay comparisons, right? But Kenny is beyond that.
Yeah. Those two wrestle their style and it kills and it gets high ratings, but there's just something about the peak of a Kenny match, right? Gabe Kidd will never have a better match than this.
That's probably accurate.
I'm just gonna say it. He's never gonna have a better match than this.
He's also 27 years old, by the way.
He's very young.
So young.
But this, again, it was against Kenny Omega. No one else can have this match, I think. And AEW should be really, really happy right now because of what they're getting back. Mm-hmm. I just hope that they're willing, get Edge shit goodbye. See you later. Who cares?
Edge? You mean Cope?
Cope and Seeth, buddy. For one time in your booking career, Tony Khan, rip the shit up and outline it to one man and one man only. It would be foolish to just stay with the plan. Yeah. It really would be. It'll actually be, I think it'd be a slap in the face.
It'd be criminal.
It'd be criminal. It would be. It'd be a slap in the face to AEW fans. I think if you don't just go to Kenny Omega. He's one of one. He's one of one. He is their Roman Reigns figure. He can be and he should be. They're different wrestlers, but they both come with aura. Right? They both come with aura. They both come with a special feeling.
I put the one in the sky, but not for Roman Reigns, for my one winged angel, Kenny Omega.
I can't stress it enough. That was my hot take coming into this was there's just no one in AEW that is this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he's never been presented like this. I understand the belt collector and all that. He's never been the god that he is in New Japan.
The frustrating thing about AEW, and it's so prevalent, especially now with Kenny Omega, and knowing where he's going to go back to in AEW, especially nowadays, and this is going to be the rare AEW rant from Ryan Knightsey.
Oh, here we go.
AEW nowadays says we're the best wrestle, right? Yet, and that's, I would say, largely true. Like, I still think they have a lot of the best wrestlers in the world in AEW. The problem is that they so rarely present their biggest stars as the best wrestler in the world, because what they want to do is not make not create a giant gulf in quality of their wrestling. They want to present everyone as the best wrestler in the world instead of showcasing one guy. They never did it with the Young Bucks. They never did it with Kenny Omega. Never did it with Adam Page. They never did it with Moxley. Never did it with Jericho. Everyone else, they always have to do something to lower their quality. This is the best guy. Ospreay isn't even that, right? Okada isn't even that. They're always not the best guy. They're always trying to lower the quality of their top guys. Never present one person as the best wrestler in the world. Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world. You talk about that artistic gap between Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Ospreay, undoubtedly, to me, a Ric Flair. But also, you talk about an artistic gap. I don't think it's like a full-on gulf between these guys. I don't think it's a dramatic change. But you also have to keep in mind, there is a decade age difference between these two wrestlers. Ospreay can eventually get to this peak, but right now...
But he's not in New Japan to get it.
True. He's not in New Japan to get it.
That hurts me.
Yeah,
a little bit.
He's not in New Japan to earn that artistic sort of drive in terms of match quality. But also, right now, he doesn't have it. He can eventually get it. Because again, Kenny Omega has it 10 years older, right? So I think Ospreay could potentially get it, but right now, I don't think he's in the place for it. And it's frustrating to see AEW not promote these guys, and we're going to see Kenny Omega come back to AEW and fight for a mid-card title belt. And we're not going to rip up the plans for Moxley, Darby, Cope, Yuta, whatever, Shota, if you want to, if you're nasty. Shota, if you're nasty. We're not going to rip up the plans for Kenny Omega. And I think that is one of the fatal flaws of AEW. They don't want to rip up the plans. They don't want to rip it up for Ospreay. They don't want to wrap it up for Kenny. Well, to be fair, I'm saying that we don't know what they're going to do on Wednesday, but I do not expect them to do any of that. Gabe Kidd,
there needs to be a dramatic pivot just before you get to Gabe. I brought up the Roman thing because Kenny has gone as far as to talk about that and saying, I would like to be presented. There's a reason Roman's presented that way. It's because he has the say to be that. Kenny Omega needs to have the say to be that.
And you would think he does as the vice president.
You would think he does, but he doesn't. He never has. Kenny Omega has never been treated like Kenny Omega, I think, in that company to the fullest extent. There's been hints, but not to the fullest extent.
He's been a farcical version of that as the heel, goofy Kenny Omega.
This is a wrestler for someone like myself who prefers Joshi over literally everything. That Kenny Omega is like that is the only person that breaks through in terms of like when a big Kenny something happens, it is must see, and it excites you for 2025. But at the same time,
It's killing Scotty.
it does. It is, because I don't know if we're gonna get this again this year. This treatment, right?
Yeah.
Him and Okada is gonna be great. Yeah, no shit. Duh. But I want everything going into that to be great. I want the next couple months to be great. I want Kenny Omega and AEW to be great, special, the guy, the god, whatever he needs to be, and he should be world champion going into that show. End of story. Bye bye. See you later. No questions about it. Now you can talk about Gabe, because I'm going to cough myself.
I will also say this about Kenny Omega. I think we need to start considering the Kenny Omega the last 3 Wrestle Kingdom appearances from or Wrestle Tokyo Dome appearances by Kenny Omega as a trilogy of matches. I think you have the Okada trilogy of matches, and I think the next trilogy of Omega matches is Tanahashi, because that match being about the match quality style or the ethos of professional wrestling in terms of one generation to another of Tanahashi and Omega. Then you have Ospreay being that next story of representing the new, the now, and then you have Gabe Kidd being the future. I think this is a past, present, future trilogy of matches that we need to consider as a trilogy that have spanned 5 years. Great. Gabe Kidd, he's up there for like David Finlay, right? Right now, a guy that I undoubtedly see as a potential IWGP World Heavyweight Champion sometime soon. Maybe not as I think David Finlay is more up there in terms of how New Japan like their guys, but Gabe Kidd was made in one night. I think undoubtedly you can belt him up with a real title belt, not the New Japan Strong, but a real title belt sometime this year. Have him win the cup, have him win the G1 Climax, perhaps. If we're still doing the Dome, then maybe, I don't know. But you got to push him. You got to push him now. And right now, Scotty, I'm going to lay it out. I know we're already over 2 hours and we are barely scratched the surface on everything we're going to discuss, but we're going to discuss this right now, Scotty. Your 6 new era wrestlers: Gabe Kidd, Shota Umino, Ren Narita, Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, and the Grip, Rohei Oiwa. Rank them. Rank the 6.
Yeah, Oil will always be first, just because he hasn't. I know where he's going. I hope so. He'll always be first. With all the other ones, Yuya's not here, so he drops.
Yuya Uemura, Tsuji.
It's got to be Gabe now.
Gabe Kidd, Ren Narita.
It's just got to be Gabe now. Like him or hate him right now, moving forward, it's got to be Gabe. Then Tsuji, then Yuya, then who gives a shit?
And then the
Shota's dead last.
Ren Narita is next, obviously, and then Shota.
Ren Narita does his gimmick. Like, what more do you want me to ask for from him? Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Shota Umino is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, so he's dead last. Get that guy out of my face.
Main event. IWGP World Heavyweight Title match. Zack Sabre Jr. defends against Ricochet. 20 minutes and 57 seconds. I thought this match was definitely better than the Shota Umino match. I thought this match was way better than the Shota Umino match.
Really hard to care, but yeah. Like, I went back and watched it before we recorded this, because I was like, I don't remember any of this.
Very, very much a tough spot in the card here, but I thought this match was great. I thought Ricochet did a really great job. Zack Sabre Jr. I really like the new Ricochet character. I think it's definitely working for him. The match was way shorter, exactly what it needed to be. Zack Sabre Jr. and Ricochet had a great partnership in terms of the wrestling action. The meshing of styles worked really well. And yeah, that was a great match. But I'm getting the hiccups. Great match, very tough spot following Omega Kidd.
Yeah, that was a good match. Terrible placement. Like, this was the most semi-final match I've ever seen, just the way it was worked and everything. And I was like, all right, sure. It was hard to fully grasp it. I think in a bottle, it's probably even better. But yeah, it was really weird. Probably the best Ricochet's look, though. I think since
Agreed.
WWE. So that's a good thing. obviously, especially following the angle with Swerve. So in the right direction with Ricochet, which is good. And then with Zach, you buddy, you're about to get goated, so I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, yeah, I thought it was a really great match, but it's very tough following Kid Omega. I think they definitely see. I just had this thought because I was looking at the Battle of the Valley card: Kid versus Takeshita. Does that move you?
I don't know if they do it, but it would make sense. Do you know what they're doing with Gabe?
I can give you the Battle of the Valley card right now.
No, but like what they did on Dash.
No.
It's him and Suji.
Oh, yes, I do.
They're going right to it, which is interesting.
That's very interesting because I almost feel like Kid should win that.
He's not gonna. I'm guessing.
It doesn't feel.
I mean, he could. Nick Nemeth beat David Finlay last year. I guess he could.
Good point. Good point.
It's weird. I don't know if it's the direction I would have gone.
Yeah,
but
I agree. I agree that maybe Kid should take the title off of Suji at some point. Maybe but later in the year. But
I was
now.
Thinking,
no,
I was thinking like Dominion.
Yeah,
they did that.
Interesting. Battle of the Valley. Here's the card for it. Top of the card: New Japan Strong Openweight title match. Gabe Kidd defends against Tomohiro Ishii. That should be good. New Japan Strong Openweight tag team title match. West Coast Wrecking Crew defends against Roppongi Revice, Rocky Romero, and Yo. A non-title match. It's still a non-title match. I don't know why they don't just make it an IWGP title match. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. But according to Cage Match, it's non-title. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechicero. Big Hechi. Oh, should be great. IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. Taiji Shimari versus El Desperado. Never Openweight title match. Konosuke Takeshita versus Kushida. A 6-man tag team match. This is the Sumi Sakai retirement match. Sumi Sakai is going to team up with Evil and Sho to take on Hiromu Takahashi, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki.
Wild match.
Wild pair. And then
listen, we had to get EO in there somehow, okay?
To try. Yeah, we got close enough. Tag team match: Fred Rosser, Matt Vandergrift versus TMDK, Bad Dude Tito, and Shane Haste. Thoughts on this overall show? San Jose Civic, January 11th.
Looks like a fun show.
Yeah. A Battle of the Valley is always a sneaky good show of the year contender, in my opinion. The past 2 years have always been sneaky good. And despite what they always, the US shows always end up being by the end of the year, I am currently excited for Battle in the Valley.
I think this has maybe more depth. Maybe not as high highs, but more depth.
I think that's fair.
In the previous 2 years. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It starts at like 10 p.m. Eastern or something because it's Pacific time. I was like, oh shit, but okay. But I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, that is January 11th. That's this Saturday. But tonight we'll do a very quick preview. Discuss this. Monday Night Raw is debuting on Netflix. Netflix. What the heck? Netflix. The Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. On Netflix on your streaming platform. So big time moment in the history of WWE. Big time moment in the history of wrestling, if you will. A program that is fully going to be on streaming for at least the next 5 years. It's going to be on streaming. Could be 10, could be 20, but at least for the next 5 years, Raw is going to be on Netflix. You can watch it on Mondays. If you miss an episode, I'm not entirely positive how you'll be able to watch it after that. I think you'll be able to watch it, but I'm not entirely positive. 4 years from now, I'm not entirely positive you'll be able to watch this on this first episode on Netflix, to be clear. But the show itself has two things. John Cena making an appearance, The Rock making an appearance, Logan Paul making an appearance. There's big time rumors probably that Becky Lynch will be making an appearance. The matches themselves have The New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods versus Rey Mysterio and a mystery person. We don't know who that is apparently. So Rey Mysterio and Lover. It's undoubtedly going to be Cero Miedo making his debut on this program. Rey Mysterio and Pentagon versus The New Day. So get excited for that. Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso. A WWE Women's World Title Last Man Standing match. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Please let this be the end of this. Please have Rhea Ripley win this. I need to move on. Tribal Combat match. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. And CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Scotty, what do you think about Monday Night Raw on Netflix? Big time show.
It's exciting. It's the most excited I've been for a wrestling TV show. It's a long time. I'll say that. Like there is certainly a Mania feel to it as they are hoping for. Cena kicks off the retirement tour. CM Punk's wrestling. Roman Reigns is wrestling. The Rock comes home to ruin everything. Yeah, it's awesome. The Rock being here ruins every single plan that we've heard of, that we've heard rumored. Everything out the window. And it's awesome because it's The Rock. So, like, who cares? You know? Like, listen.
There's no way Punk is getting his main event now if The Rock is
Golden
firmly
Globes
coming back for Mania.
Absolutely. Unless they, for some reason, keep Cena out of a main event, which would be silly. Very silly. So The Rock was at the Golden Globes last night, and Vin Diesel was like, "Hey, Dwayne," and he just smiled and ignored it. And I was like, "The Rock is gonna come back in like the biggest way humanly possible for the next few months because he's gonna take all that momentum that he didn't get with Red One, shockingly, and yeah, it's gonna be a wild time. But this is really where WrestleMania kicks off. This is WrestleMania season. I'm fascinated to see how it looks on Netflix. If there's a different feel to it, differently shot, things like that, right? Hopefully it works.
Yeah.
I am a little bit worried about that, but I believe the NFL was very successful on Christmas Day.
Yes, the streams were good.
Unlike Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, so
which is good, which is exactly what we were sort of expecting.
Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's the most excited I've been for a WWE show not called WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble, and who knows how long. So
yeah, I think they have a good solid card here put together, another sort of Saturday Night Main Event esque card, if you will.
I'm wondering if they do commercials during matches or they wait.
There was a report on that, wasn't there? That
I knew there would be commercials, but
yes, there are commercial breaks during the show, during Netflix. I don't exactly remember what the report was, but yeah, I think it should be a good time show. The Rock coming back is in the sort of his I think like Trevor Dame said it was like his rebound was the WWE. But like
always is.
The crappy relationship that The Rock has with WWE, like when he it's not working out in the main world and he goes back to his side chick option, the WWE, it never works out. It ruins everything else for
WWE fans though.
Oh yeah, it works out for The Rock. Pentagon showing up is massive. Thank God Rhea Ripley ending this and then Becky Lynch making a debut should be great. John Cena retirement tour announcement. I think we'll get the basic pitch that he's going to go after Cody. It's probably going to start here. I have to imagine.
I think they say number 17.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll say who, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially with The Rock showing up.
Good point. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, they're probably into this. Are we going to get the tribal championship? We'll find out. I think that'd be stupid.
I think they said that was scrapped.
Thank God. And then Punk Seth Rollins, I think should be very interesting on a lot of different levels, but I think it should be a really good match.
I hope it's good.
I pray to God it's good.
I mean, I can see how it isn't. I can't see how it wouldn't be good, but
there's always a chance.
I don't have all the confidence in the world with Seth Rollins these days. So
yeah, and CM Punk, you never know. He could just fall apart at the seams. So we'll find out.
Seth wrestles very safe, so I'm sure he'll be fine.
That's true. Well, yeah, safe, but the guy got injured running into a barricade, or running into a crowd of people. So we'll just sort of wait and see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, we'll sort of wait and see there. Yeah, but should be a good time show. I am excited to see what Netflix is going to do with Raw moving forward. Obviously, if you go on Netflix right now, they're constantly promoting it for tonight.
my face the
whatever
moment you turn it on.
whatever number they get is gonna be extremely inflated. Netflix is gonna announce it, or WWE is gonna announce it. It's gonna be extremely inflated. One, because it's
No
the
number
first.
matters.
Yeah. One, it's the first one, right? And it has The Rock and Cena and all these people on it that they're never going to be able to get again. But two, the numbers moving forward ultimately aren't going to matter. Not necessarily aren't going to matter, but like we're going to have to figure out what Netflix
It's going to take a
needs
long
for those
time to
things.
get them, too.
It's going to take them a while to get them. We're only going to get them if Netflix announces them, probably, or WWE says it, which is
They'd be
likely.
smart not to say a single thing besides the first one.
I think we'll get week 1. I don't think we'll get week 2 or anything else like that. Unless I think the only way we get these numbers is if WWE gives them to Brandon Thurston. I legitimately think that's the only way we get these. Because also you have to remember that these numbers will be inflated because we don't know what Netflix is going to. They can just say whatever they want. They could say minutes watched, right? Okay, what does that mean?
It's impossible to judge now.
Yeah, is this many eyes total viewership? Is that on average? Is that total viewership? All these numbers it's impossible.
Ratings talk dies.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
So we'll see how it goes. But I'm
the same happened with AEW last week because everyone's like, "This was without the max numbers." So I was like, "Yeah, no shit."
Yeah, and we saw that with like Saturday Night's Main Event 2, the Peacock streaming stuff too. And that simulcast.
Well, they did let all that out.
They did let that out. So I suspect that WWE will announce the numbers here for Raw. Sure. But we'll see if they announce anything else moving forward. All right, 2.5 hours in. We have one last thing to discuss, and I don't think we'll go match by match here. But overall, Marigold First Dream had their first big time show, Oda City Gymnasium, 1,800 in attendance. Fine attendance.
Anything 15 or more, I thought was an accomplishment.
Yeah. New Japan last year.
Just based off what the numbers were for non-New Japan at that venue last time around.
Yeah, New Japan last year, 52nd anniversary show, 3,000. This year for New Year's Dash, it was like 2,000 something. It was 2,300. So not too bad. All Japan ran this building last year as well. They had, it's loading, 2,000. So the weakest in 2 years, but fine. For Marigold, I think that's 100% okay and good to be where they're at. Main event here was the big talking point, I think. Well, both the semi-main and the main event are the big talking points, but big time show, a lot of title changes, 4 title changes, maybe one more, but we'll discuss that. Utami Hayashishita defeats Suri, Marigold World title match in the main event. Mai Sakurai defeats Miku Ayano in Marigold United National title match. Koki Amare defeats Chiaki Goto to retain the GC Women's. Nanae Takahashi and Naoya Ichikawa defeats Meiko Satomura and Yuna. Bozilla and Tank defeats Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki in the Marigold Twin Star title match in a garbage match. And Victoria Yuzuki defeats Natsumi Shozuki to win the Marigold Superfly title match. And there was also the Mirai versus the Super Rookie Siri Yamaoka in a time limit draw, but then they continued for another 7 minutes in a nice little cool match here. But overall thoughts, what do you think of Marigold First Stream? And what do you think of any of the stuff for the future?
I know a lot of people don't like Marigold. I understand this. I cover it, so I understand this. But I thought this show, ultimately, walking out of it's a success. There's a lot to be excited about in 2025 for the promotion, especially with the aftermath and everything that's lining up. It kind of started with Seiri Yamaoka. She was awesome. I was kind of blown away by certain things. They were smart, right? They're going for the similar draw that Utami Hayashishita had in her debut when she was the Super Rookie against Jungle Kiona. But how do you grow upon that? You go to overtime, right? You play to the rookies being a rookie, kind of being like, nah, I want this to keep going. And Mirai puts an end to her once and for all. But
the overconfidence of
right. But what you saw here was her take Chihiro Hashimoto's finisher, the Albright, and fucking hit it in which is the German suplex with the bridge, which was unreal. When she hit that on Mirai in the overtime and dropped her right on her dome, I was like, that's all I needed. Like, you just need one very clear big move to be like, okay, there's. And I thought she did a great job. She's going to be a building block. She's already in a title match in 16 days or whatever. She's going for the tag belts. I'm pretty confident she's winning the tag belts. She's teaming with Nanai, which is perfect for her before Nanai wraps up. Crowning Victoria Yuzuki was very smart. 13 months into her debut, or 13 months into her career.
Yeah,
she's obviously one of the future keystones. It's her and Yamaoka. When you look at the world of Joshi, I don't know if anyone has two young stars with such hopeful, bright futures as those two in terms of age. Like, they're both 18.
yeah.
Obviously, like, yes, Stardom has Starlight Kid and Azumi. Hanan. Hanan's the only other one that's like that age. And Rena's great too. But in terms of rookies, it's hard to beat those two. What else? The tag match is terrible.
Tag match was garbage. I hated the tag match.
Bad. Tag match is awful.
It made Bozilla look bad after having like a potential rookie of the year.
It did. I honestly think it's going to turn into just Bozilla taking out Tank in like very short fashion. Like, I think that's how they're gonna twist it. Like, I don't need. In the end, I actually don't need you guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Which will probably be the best way to save it.
Let alone we said talking about Tank. What about that third person?
Yeah, I think her name's like Megaton or something. I don't know what the fuck. It's terrible. Yeah,
it's an act that made Bozilla look so shindy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I did not like it for Bozilla. I don't think Bozilla liked it for Bozilla.
And Chiaki and Nozaki, I did not think were good in the match either.
No, it was just bad. It was just bad. Like, it was just bad. It was the real low point outside of the Koki Amari injury, which was a real shame. She did her best to finish the match because, as I said to Ryan, it's not their title. They can't just be like Marufuji doesn't book it either, but they were acting like it. And when Marufuji pointed to Rossi, he was like, I don't fucking know. I just watched you get hurt. Like,
Rossi so, like, sitting there like, shit, what am I to do right now?
Yeah, he's just like,
sure, whatever you say.
It was a real shame. Good for her, I guess.
And I'm just glad that it didn't go like another 30. You know what I mean?
No, they were smart. They were like, let's just get to the finish, which for their experience level, I was impressed by, honestly, just doing the quick pivot. Doing that finish was wild, just doing the top rope diving. But that was a real shame.
Amare was doing that, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Do a different move.
And the funny thing is, she hit it as well as she would.
I know.
2 knees.
She also walked down her own accord, which is seemingly
very good. Nanai and Mako set up a singles match after their tag. I thought everything with those two was great in that match because
they're great.
Yeah. So they're doing the Giant Baba show 1-on-1. God, I hope it airs. I don't know if it airs, but God, I hope it does. Probably like a Samurai TV thing or something that people find one way or the other. My Sakurai getting crowned. I had a discussion in my review last week for that show. Is Mai Sakurai the most? Is she the best of the Cosmic Angels and DDM right now, like current day? And I was like, the fact that we're even having that conversation is fucking wild. I was like, no, I'd put Mariah over her. I'd probably put Micah over her. But other than that, and Shuri doesn't do anything. So I was like, I won't put Shuri over her because sadly, that's just the world I live in. But I was like, the fact that she's in the conversation, good for her. I thought they had a really fun match. I was really happy to see Mai get the win. Just to watch her fucking meteoric rise from the Julia match and on has been awesome. And then Utami and Sari. Obviously, I wanted Sari to win, just because. But I understand it. Marigold's in a position where they are a new company. They need their world champion on each and every show, right? And No one makes more sense than Utami to be that. The best news is that Rossi already said Sari's going to be on Corkins moving forward. So I was like, oh, she's not going anywhere. Thank you. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Because the fear for me was, if she loses, is she gone? Like, am I going to see less of Sari? And then he says, like, no, I'm going to keep booking her. And I was like,
as he should. After a year that she's had, it's like, no, keep her as much as he can.
Yeah.
Give her everything.
He was smart. He was smart to put the belt on her. I really liked the main event. I know a lot of people preferred the United National to it, but I really loved the main event. It was, if you like Utami style, you're going to like the match. If you don't like Utami style, you're not going to like the match. Sari was great at being the dickhead of the match. She does that from time to time, and I thought the closing stretch was fantastic between the two. That ultimately led to her big win. So you have the three people that have kind of been positioned in Marigold to be next. You have Utami, Yuzuki, and Mai Sakurai to lead you into the new year. Very Rossi booked show in terms of this is something he likes to do with the big year-end type show. I'm very excited for 2025 for multiple reasons. But it wasn't the perfect show. It's never going to be a perfect show because that's their roster right now.
Yep.
But I think there's a lot of positives to take out of it from Marigold into the new year, which is great. Again, this is a growing company. I can't stress this enough to people. So Sari Yamaoka is already better than like half the roster, I think, and she's one match in. So
do you think like AEW broke a lot of people's like expectations for a first year for a company?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially West.
I think it's very unfair, like to compare a company that starts with the elite, to like a company that is like 3 wrestlers or 5 wrestlers, whatever, and then a bunch of new people.
I'm not saying that like
if it was the elite, then all rookies. That's what AEW, like that's not what AEW started at.
Imagine if Marigold started and like Kenny Omega just came in a year later. Marigold started. If
I know what you mean.
If AEW started,
and then Kenny,
Kenny came in a year later in 2020. It's like, all right. I mean, it's still good, but it's like we're missing a big aspect of this that we're missing.
That's a good comp.
That's the comp I was going to give to you because I was going to say I was going to say Chris Jericho. I was like, no, I mean like the Nai Takahashi might be the Chris.
I was going to say the Nai's there. I was like, that's a very good like.
But the good thing for that is that you had Sari that could easily make up for.
Yeah, Sari was the unique addition to help a lot. So her being around's great, and they added a couple like from the scene within the show, like Yuki Mishiro in the Battle Royal. She's actually quite good. The Battle Royals, like all rookies, and then like her. But she's around now, which is good.
Yep. They're developing.
They need more veteran presence. That's ultimately what they need.
Yeah, and they might get some in the new year, right? That's the big talking point. Rossi has always been a development guy. And so when you're starting a new promotion, it's going to take time because Rossi likes to develop people. So the top of the card is you're going to have to be good. You're going to have to be great people to sustain it as we're developing all these other guys. It's going to take time. If Marigold's able to survive a couple more years, right, which there's no reason why they shouldn't right now, that's when we'll sort of like, I think that's when we'll start seeing its prime beginning, right? I mean, not prime, but a new start.
I think you're right. And I think if a certain person comes over, things dramatically change anyways. So I will say the one thing they did announce, they announced the next big show, which is Yogi on the 24th of May. Shine Forever.
That is a while away. Jesus Christ.
Yes, it's their anniversary show. So they'll have big Corkins, but that is their next signature show, which actually is a shorter time period since Summer Destiny to this one. So I guess that's good. It is actually titled Shine Forever 2025, a glorious celebration.
Oh, there we go. So
I don't know if anyone
in...
knows whose finisher was the glorious driver, but she is about to become NXT champion in about a day. So something to keep note of.
I don't think Bobby Roode is wrestling anymore.
You got me there.
All right, let's close up shop here for Ring Post Radio. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode. Of course, different from our usual time, but we appreciate everybody for listening in. We'll be back on Sunday the 12th to discuss all more wrestling. Not a whole lot to discuss, but we got some previews. We're going to be discussing maybe reviewing Battle in the Valley, maybe talking Raw on Netflix and some news that came out from there. All Japan's got a show. DPW has a show. We're going to try to make an effort to watch DPW this year. And of course, that's not going to be the only indie because we're going to preview the GCW People versus GCW Hammerstein show as well next week. And TNA's Genesis is also happening on the 19th. So there's some things happening.
So much for my not watching bad wrestling.
Yeah. Well, we got to watch. I think we got to watch Genesis because that's like the first, they're doing a big time arena show. So it's like, okay. Just have Joe Hendry.
What does the card look like?
We'll discuss the card. We'll discuss the card next week. We'll discuss the card next week. But before we go, Scotty, give us some plugs. Give us some matches of the week.
Yeah. My awards, like the 5-star Joshi Awards, that it just got posted on YouTube, youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. That is now live. Go see who won. Spoiler alert. Sorry. Multiple times.
Shock among shocks.
She won 4 of 14 awards or something. It's just the way it was. She had 3/4 of the Wrestler of the Year vote. Fucking incredible. So go check those out. There's a lot of awards you want to see: International Wrestler of the Year, Breakout Star, Show of the Year, Match of the Year, Promotion of the Year, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Go check that out. And yeah, it was a long week of wrestling. So I'll be coming out with a Joshi predictions video later this week, kind of for the whole year, which I'm always look forward to. I'm going to go look back at my old predictions from last year, see how wrong I was, which is always fun. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for having me, Ryan, as always. This was fun. We'll be back on Sunday next week.
Yes.
Finally. Yes. Sunday morning. First time in a long time.
For something like a month.
literally, it will be the 12th. We haven't done it since the 15th of December. Yeah,
so practically a month later, we'll be back on a Sunday. My match of the week, of course.
I didn't say that, did I?
Oh, yeah, you did not. Go ahead.
Good. No, you're talking. Go ahead.
1999, Paraguayo versus Sangre Chicana versus El Cobarde in a hair versus hair 3-way bull terrier match. So this is basically a what the fuck is this called? Chain link. What the fuck is this thing called? CM Punk, Mark Briscoe. What the fuck is what are these matches? Dog collar. Thank you. I'm struggling. Dog collar
CM Punk, Mark Briscoe.
In March of 1999 in AAA. Great match.
How many stars?
4 stars. Great match.
By the way, my match of the week was from let's do the Sendai Girls main event. Mio Momono and Yuriko Oka versus Dash Shisako and Haruya Matsumoto. Great tag. That was from yesterday.
Lots of things for me to say. I'm going to have out this week the first episode of Hustle Loyalty Retrospect. I think I'm going to have that out next week. I might even, if I get to it, I might have that out tomorrow. Have that out tomorrow because Cena's making his return. Let's just ride the train. I might have that tomorrow. January 8th will be the first episode of the free feed of The Ballot. It's not going to be on the Patreon. It's going to be on a regular podcast. So wherever you get the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to Apple Podcasts. If you're listening to this, on the Countout feed of the podcast, it will be on there as well. So the first episode of The Ballot with Verb Abrams talking about Ted Boy Marino. It is a great episode. One of my favorite pieces of audio that I've ever done. Legitimately a great informative episode. You'll learn a lot about not only Ted Boy Marino, but the history of professional wrestling in Brazil, why there really isn't much pro wrestling in Brazil anymore, and whether or not he deserves to be in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. Legitimately great episode. Go check it out. Highly recommend it. January 8th. At some point this week as well, ideally, Scotty and I are going to schedule when after we record this, but ideally, some point later this week, we will have our award show for the Best Around the Globe Awards. This is the first time we are going to be doing this award show. We redid our awards this year. We are calling it the Best Around the Globe. We gave an exclusive ballot, a closed ballot to a select number of people. Those people have now all voted. I have tabulated the results to tell you who the best in each promotion that people were voting in this year, the best of each region, Japan, Mexico, US and Canada, the rest of the world, and the best around the globe. We have all of those results and a bunch of more fun facts ready to go. We'll have that recorded between Scotty and I some point later this week, and ideally out some point later this week. So get ready for that. We're also going to record another episode of Ring Post Radio Quarterly. We're not going to ask for Q&A questions this time around. What we're going to do is basically just ask overall questions of wrestling to each other. So we'll have that recorded, and that'll come out later again on patreon.com/counterpod. I don't think I said it with our Hustle Loyalty Retrospect. That will also be on Patreon, patreon.com/counterpod. That's the place. Both of these things, the $5 tier. But because Hustle Loyalty Retrospect is first episode of a series, it's going to be on the $3 tier as well. So go check out all of that. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/counterpod. Follow us on all the socials. Count Out Pod is the typical social media presence. I think that is everything from me. Patreon.com/countoutpod. Hustle Loyalty Retrospect coming out very soon, possibly even tomorrow. The ballot, first episode, free feed everywhere, January 8th, this Wednesday. We'll be back on Sunday. Award show, the Baggies, will be coming out later this week, ideally. New show, Ring Post Radio, on Sunday. So a lot to get to. So yeah, get into it. Big time, big new year. I'm excited. I'm excited, Scotty. I'm excited for what we have rolling out for Count Out this year. That is it from us this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We'll be back next week for an all new episode. We'll be back on Sunday for an all new episode of Ring Post Radio. And until next time, we'll catch you all later. Goodbye, everybody.